Chapter 1461. Wang Xiaoyu felt that even the breath coming out of her nostrils had become noble. Wang Xiaoyu raised the phone in her hand up high and raised her hand at the man who had just entered the cafe. She shook the phone in her hand twice. "Brother. I'm here." With this shout, everyone in the coffee shop looked over. Feeling this kind of attention, Wang Xiaoyu was not shy at all. Instead, she raised her eyes and looked at the man with a golden mohawk hairstyle very proudly. The man with the golden mohawk hairstyle walked like a hooligan. Every step he took made him look like a hooligan teasing a beauty. Anyone who saw him would want to beat him up. "Sister Xiaoyu, why did you call me out?" The man with the mohawk hairstyle looked high and mighty. He glanced at Wang Xiaoyu and asked smugly. At that time, the man with the mohawk hairstyle still had his hands in his pockets, as if there was no one more powerful than him in the world. Yun Jian sat where she was. When she heard Wang Xiaoyu call him brother, she recalled how Wang Xiaoyu had bragged about how her brother worked for Falcon Hall at the haunted house. She would find time to visit Falcon Hall, but she did not care much now because Su Zetian was very capable. Falcon Hall was now the #1 gang in Jia province, and the boss of the former #1 gang in Jia province, Han Biao, was supporting Su Zetian. Therefore, Yun Jian was really a hands-off boss now. Perhaps it was because the man with the mohawk whom Wang Xiaoyu called brother was from Falcon Hall. Yun Jian glanced up at him. "Humph, brother, you have no idea. Someone bullied me at the haunted house just now." Wang Xiaoyu's mouth was full of nonsense. "Who bullied my sister Xiaoyu? Come out now." In this day and age, people with some power had a habit of feeling superior. The man with the mohawk hairstyle looked at Wang Xiaoyu and shouted. It's her, it's her. It's her who bullied me. Brother, you have to stand up for me. Use your status to suppress her properly. It's best if you scare her to death." Wang Xiaoyu and the man with the mohawk hair kept calling each other brother and sister. Their words were undoubtedly directed at Yun Jian. "She's the one who bullied you, right? All right, Sister Xiaoyu, this brother will definitely help you get revenge for this." The last sentence was stuck in his throat just like that. When the mohawk man saw Yun Jian's exquisite and beautiful face, his entire person froze on the spot. What a beautiful girl. What a beautiful girl. The man with the mohawk's hair almost drooled. He didn't even hear Wang Xiaoyu calling him brother a few times. Zhang Zhudi. It was only when Wang Xiaoyu shouted his full name that the man with the mohawk finally reacted. The man with the mohawk hair, who was Zhang Zhudi, reacted in a daze. "Brother, she bullied me." Wang Xiaoyu deliberately used a coquettish voice to speak to Zhang Zhudi, as if she wanted to draw Zhang Zhudi's attention back. However, Zhang Zhudi's eyes were already fixed on Yun Jian. When he responded to Wang Xiaoyu, his voice was very perfunctory. "Ah. Oh. You're from Falcon Hall?" Yun Jian's red lips curved slightly. She looked at Zhang Zhudi and asked under everyone's gaze. "Ah. Yes. Zhang Zhudi was as loud as he was when he first entered the door. Now that Yun Jian asked him, he quickly responded. As he spoke, Zhang Zhudi's aura rose slightly. As long as he said that he was from Falcon Hall, Zhang Zhudi would feel a deep sense of pride. "Who do you work under? What's your serial number? What's your superior's serial number?" In the next second, everyone saw Yun Jian's slightly raised red arc suddenly relax. She suddenly asked this question with a cold face. Hearing this, everyone was stunned and at a loss for what to do. What did Yun Jian mean by that? However, Zhang Zhudi was the only one who suddenly came back to his senses when he heard Yun Jian's words. In front of everyone, he turned pale with fright and asked Yun Jian instead. Chapter 1462. Zhang Zhudi asked loudly. As he spoke, Zhang Zhudi's expression changed from a lustful one at the beginning to a tense one at the moment. Just like the Kosha mercenaries, Falcon Hall had started to give each member a number. Every member of the Kosha mercenaries had a number. The first was Yun Jian, who was ranked according to her strength, battle record, and contribution. Yun Jian had numbered Falcon Hall a while ago, and it was based on these aspects as well. Falcon Hall did not have a rule that forbade its members from revealing their numbers to outsiders. However, most of the members with lower numbers were unwilling to talk about it. Only those with higher numbers were willing to talk about it. In spite of it, those who were numbered closer to the front were usually mature and reliable. The candidates were usually hand-picked by Yun Jian or Su Zetian because the number at the front meant that they were Falcon Hall's elders. Therefore, this created a phenomenon where those with higher numbers would not brag about it, while those with lower numbers would not be able to brag about it. Therefore, outsiders did not know that Falcon Hall had started to give out numbers. Wang Xiaoyu had wanted to scold Yun Jian when she heard Yun Jian's nonsense. However, Zhang Zhudi was really shocked after hearing Yun Jian's words. Not only did Zhang Zhudi's face turn pale, he even asked Yun Jian how she knew that the members of Falcon Hall had a number. "Brother, why are you yelling at her? Falcon Hall has a number? Why haven't I heard you mention it before?" Wang Xiaoyu only spoke to Zhang Zhudi after she came back to her senses. Zhang Zhu mentioned everything to her, especially bragging about it. Back then, the reason why Wang Xiaoyu recognized Zhang Zhudi as her brother was because Zhang Zhudi boasted that he could push himself up to the sky. In the end, Wang Xiaoyu really thought that Zhang Zhudi was so powerful, so she couldn't wait to call Zhang Zhudi brother. Wang Xiaoyu had heard all the bragging from Zhang Zhudi, but she had never heard of any number. That was why Wang Xiaoyu had asked. Yun Jian, Lu Fian, and Wang Cancan were still sitting in their seats. At this moment, Yun Jian was coldly looking at Zhang Zhudi. Zhang Zhudi was at a loss. This. How could there be such a thing? What serial number? I don't know. Zhang Zhudi realized that he had lost control of himself just now, so he tried to explain himself. Needless to say, Zhang Zhudi's number was definitely at the back. The image that he had erected in front of Wang Xiaoyu was that he was omnipotent. There was nothing that he couldn't do. If he reported his serial number, then his image would be Bulsh *T. Actually, he was just an errand boy in Falcon Hall. Before Zhang Zhudi could finish, he was interrupted by Yun Jian again. She looked at Zhang Zhudi and said in an unfriendly tone, "Falcon Hall has assigned a number to every member. It's impossible for any of them to be missed. If you don't tell me, I'll use your name to search for the number." Yun Jian's words stunned everyone, especially Zhang Zhudi. After hearing Yun Jian's words, Zhang Zhudi was stunned. Then, he burst into laughter. "Pfft, you said use my name to search for the number? Are you kidding? How are you going to do that? Do you think that Falcon Hall will care about you? You want to search for my number? Haha. Who do you think you are? The boss of Falcon Hall?" Pfft. Zhang Zhudi's laughter rang out like a silver bell. When Zhang Zhudi laughed, Wang Xiaoyu laughed as well. Mocking Yun Jian was Wang Xiaoyu's favorite. The mocking laughter did not seem to affect Yun Jian at all. Yun Jian picked up her phone and dialed the landline of Falcon Hall's headquarters. She reported Zhang Zhudi's name immediately. Ha ha ha. She's even making a call. Yo, who's she calling? She wants to search for my brother's goddamn serial number, he. Wang Xiaoyu looked at Yun Jian and laughed heartily. However, before Wang Xiaoyu could finish laughing, Yun Jian suddenly reported a string of numbers. 113905, what? Are you crazy? I think that's the landline number, right? Ha. Wang Xiaoyu laughed out loud. F***ck, no, that's impossible. How do you know my serial number? You. Just when Wang Xiaoyu was about to burst into laughter, Zhang Zhudi's face suddenly turned pale with fright and he shouted loudly. That's because I'm also a member of Falcon Hall. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said coldly in front of everyone. Then what's your serial number? Zhang Zhudi was stunned. He asked Yun Jian in return, as if to confirm Yun Jian's voice. Chapter 1463. Zhang Zhudi was already shocked when he heard Yun Jian say his serial number. After all, How was Yun Jian supposed to find out his serial number if he did not say it out loud? Only the higher-ups of Falcon Hall would be able to find a person's serial number by using their name to check their serial number. Zhang Zhudi had never considered whether Yun Jian was one of the higher-ups. That was because Yun Jian's age was simply unbelievable. In spite of it, Yun Jian had recited his serial number accurately. This was even more legendary than a mythical movie. Even so, Zhang Zhudi did not think that Yun Jian was one of the higher-ups. Not to mention the boss of Falcon Hall. Bullsh *T. Yun Jian was the boss of Falcon Hall? This was even more unbelievable than a fish cooking itself. Therefore, when he heard that Yun Jian was also a member of Falcon Hall, Zhang Zhudi reflexively asked Yun Jian what her serial number was. In Falcon Hall, serial numbers represented a person's status. There were members of Falcon Hall in the entire Zhe province, and there were more than 100,000 of them in total. It was a large number, but it was not particularly outstanding when compared to the entire Zhe province. Zhang Zhudi himself was one of the bottom few. He asked Yun Jian what her serial number was because he thought that Yun Jian's ranking was definitely lower than his. How could a girl like her have a high-ranking serial number? However, when he heard Yun Jian's serial number, Zhang Zhudi was dumbfounded. What did you say? What's serial number 1? Zhang Zhudi thought that there was a long string of numbers behind it that he did not hear clearly, so he moved his ears closer to listen. The people around them were all confused and looked like they did not know what was going on. However, they could still understand what Yun Jian and Zhang Zhudi were talking about. I'll only say this once. Please get out of my sight now, because you're an eyesore, Yun Jian curled her lips coldly and said very calmly. At this point, she turned her head and ignored everyone present. She said to Lu Fian and Wang Cancan, "There are too many mosquitoes here. It's annoying. Let's go." Lu Fian and Wang Cancan didn't want to stay here any longer, so they stood up as well. The reason why Wang Cancan didn't want to stay here was entirely because she didn't want to see her senior Duan Ming and Chen Limei being intimate with each other. Hey! Wang Cancan, are you leaving just like that? Don't you want to see Senior Duan Ming anymore? Senior Duan Ming went to the bathroom and will be here soon. Chen Limei saw that Wang Cancan wanted to turn around and leave just like that, so she opened her mouth to urge him to stay. Everyone knew that Chen Limei was up to no good. Even though she knew that Wang Cancan liked Senior Duan Ming, Chen Limei still wanted to ask him to stay. She wanted Wang Cancan to see that Senior Duan Ming was close to her, Chen Limei. Wang Cancan knew that Chen Limei had ulterior motives, but he couldn't help but stop. Yun Jian's eyes turned sharp for a moment. At this moment, a tall and handsome youth walked in from the main entrance. This kind of youth was the most popular among girls, so the moment he walked in, he received the deep gazes of the people around him. The young man was the Senior Duan Ming that Chen Limei and Wang Cancan were thinking about, and at this moment, Duan Ming was walking over. When he saw Wang Cancan, Duan Ming didn't even believe his own eyes for a moment. The Wang Cancan today was completely different from when she was wearing her school uniform and pants at school. The Wang Cancan today was extremely beautiful. Duan Ming was originally walking towards Chen Limei, but he stopped halfway and turned to look at Wang Cancan. He opened his mouth and said, "You are Wang Cancan, right? I remember seeing you at school. You're dressed very beautifully today." Just as he was thinking about this, Zhang Zhudi, who was standing at the side, seemed to have suddenly thought of something incredible. He shouted at Yun Jian, and the words that came out of his mouth caused everyone present to be flabbergasted. "I remember. I'm up." San Guanzi once said that he said that the boss of our Falcon Hall was a woman. She didn't seem to be an adult yet, and looked to be in her teens. She couldn't be you. Chapter 1464. Zhang Zhudi still remembered that one of his brothers in Falcon Hall had said that the boss of Falcon Hall was a woman. And she seemed to be underage. If that was the case, wouldn't Yun Jian, who was standing in front of him, fit the criteria? This thought gave Zhang Zhudi a fright. He quickly stopped Yun Jian and asked, In an instant, everyone present looked at her in astonishment. Falcon Hall was now the living signboard of Jia province. As long as one was in Jia province, they would know about Falcon Hall. Some people would even tremble in fear when they heard the words Falcon Hall. But what did Zhang Zhudi say? He said that Yun Jian was the boss of Falcon Hall? Brother, what kind of joke is this? She's the boss of Falcon Hall? Ha 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 ha. This doesn't make sense at all. How could she be the boss of Falcon Hall? If she's the boss of Falcon Hall, then I'm a fairy who descended from the heavens. Hee hee. Wang Xiaoyu said shamelessly. As she spoke, her tone revealed a sense of matter-of-fact. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes when she saw this. She did not say anything. Wang Xiaoyu was talking happily. When Zhang Zhudi came back to his senses, he thought, hey, that's really the case. How could Yun Jian be the boss of Falcon Hall? Thinking of this, Zhang Zhudi said again, that's right, it can't be so coincidental. She definitely can't be the boss of Falcon Hall. I really had a stroke just now. My brain short-circuited. As he spoke, Zhang Zhudi slapped his head hard. Yun Jian glared at Zhang Zhudi. After knowing that Yun Jian was not the boss of Falcon Hall, Zhang Zhudi could not be bothered with Yun Jian anymore. When Yun Jian, Lu Fian, and Wang Cancan took a detour and left, Duan Ming suddenly grabbed Wang Cancan's hand and said to her, Wang Cancan, are you free at 6:30 tonight? Do you want to go shopping together? Duan Ming's words were like a great joy from the heavens, causing Wang Cancan's face to instantly fill with a smile. Senior. Can I really go shopping with you? Wang Cancan panicked in front of Duan Ming. He was completely flustered, and had completely lost his hands and feet. Therefore, when Duan Ming invited her, Wang Cancan was completely dumbfounded. Of course, I'm honored. Duan Ming revealed a very gentle smile. This smile almost made Wang Cancan stand in place, unable to react for a long time. What are you looking at? Your senior Duan Ming has already gone far away. Lu Fian laid on Wang Cancan's body and muttered softly. Hee hee, I didn't notice. Wang Cancan smiled brightly. Yun Jian just smiled slightly. In the end, the three of them went to the shopping mall to pick out a gift for Qin Yiru. Wang Cancan had a good eye for choosing birthday gifts. After picking and choosing, in the end, Wang Cancan helped Yun Jian choose an exquisite apron for Qin Yiru. The reason why he gave her an apron was because Wang Cancan heard from Yun Jian that Qin Yiru was currently working in a flower shop. When working in a flower shop, Qin Yiru would usually use an apron, because wearing an apron when trimming flowers and plants would not dirty her clothes. Although the flower shop had its own apron, the apron that his daughter gave him was different from the original apron of the flower shop. Furthermore, Qin Yiru did not lack anything right now, so giving her a birthday gift was also a kind gesture. Yun Jian listened to Wang Cancan and chose an apron that was more suitable for Qin Yiru's temperament. She even found someone to wrap it up in 3 layers. This was the first time Yun Jian had bought a gift and wrapped it up in 3 layers. I owe you a favor. If you have anything in the future, you can ask me. I can help you within the scope of the conditions. Yun Jian said to Wang Cancan with one hand holding the gift. Helping her choose a birthday gift for Qin Yiru was a great kindness to Yun Jian. This was because she didn't know what to give. She had never done this before. We're friends from now on. There's no need to be like this between friends, haha. Wang Cancan was very generous as he spoke to Yun Jian. Chapter 1465. Wang Cancan was ready to go home because she was going shopping with her senior, Duan Ming, tonight. She was extremely excited. LV Fian did not return to Xinjiang town. She stayed in school during the weekends, sometimes returning home once every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes once a month. She did not go back every week because it was inconvenient. This was similar to Yun Yi back then. When Yun Jian was reborn, Yun Yi was studying in Longmen City while Qin Yiru and Yun Jian were both in Xinjiang town. Yun Yi often returned home once every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes once a month. It was costly and time-consuming to take the bus home from the city. She would then stay for a day or two at home before taking the bus back to school from the town. It was troublesome, so students who usually stayed in the town would not be too hard-working when they returned home. After Wang Cancan left, Lu Fian also went back to school to review her homework. Lu Fian's school would be holding the monthly exam in about 10 days. As someone who had relied on her own hard work to get to where she was today, Lu Fian naturally had to review and prepare for the exam. Yun Jian was taking a taxi to Ding Ding Bar from the shopping mall with the gift she bought for Qin Yiru. Ding Ding Bar, entrance. The bar was newly opened and its business was booming. It was also near the shopping mall. Others might not know that Ding Ding Bar was one of the properties under Falcon Hall. Yun Jian had an appointment with Su Zetian here. It had been a long time since she asked about Falcon Hall since she went to the military school, so she had to deal with it first when she came back today. Yun Jian stepped into Ding Ding Bar with the gift for Qin Yiru in one hand. It was still daytime, but Ding Ding Bar's recent business boom made the atmosphere inside feel like it was night. When she stepped in, it felt like she had stepped into the night from day. Just as Yun Jian stepped into the bar, she saw a few familiar figures at the bar counter from the corner of her eye. It was Zhou Dongxuan, Wang Qiaoyu, Zhang Judi, and the others whom he had met at the haunted house and the coffee shop. Just now, Wang Cancan and Lu Fian had accompanied Yun Jian to buy a birthday present. They had spent some time on the way, so it was not surprising that Zhou Dongxuan, Wang Qiaoyu, and the others had already come out of a place like the Dynamic Mall. It was such a coincidence to bump into them in such a place. Yun Jian was just about to sidestep the few people at the bar and take a detour, but Zhou Dongxuan's eyes lit up. He was the first to notice Yun Jian. "Why are you here?" As he spoke, Wang Qiaoyu, who was beside him, was very unhappy. "Why are you always haunting me? You'll follow us wherever we go. How shameless. As a girl, I think you don't even have the modesty of a girl." Wang Qiaoyu felt that Yun Jian had deliberately followed them, so she immediately yelled at Yun Jian. "Sis Qiaoyu, don't make a ruckus here. This is Falcon Hall's territory. You'll be arrested by them if you shout like this." "Even I can't save you then," Zhang Judi told Wang Qiaoyu. Okay, Gu, I know." Wang Qiaoyu turned to Zhang Judi and told him obediently before turning back to whisper to Yun Jian. "I say, don't tell me you're a prostitute here. Heh, you're really shameless." Wang Qiaoyu was about to say something when a middle-aged man walked over from the side. The middle-aged man was Duan Lei. When he came to Yun Jian, he called out respectfully, "Sister Jian, Boss Su has been waiting for you for a long time. Go on in." Yun Jian hummed in acknowledgement and left Wang Qiaoyu, Zhang Judi, and the others who were eating like crazy. Zhang Judi obviously knew Duan Lei. Looking at him, he asked fearfully, "Elder Duan Lei, could the girl who went in just now be? Could it be, don't say things you shouldn't say. Who she is isn't something you can know." Duan Lei glanced at Zhang Judi and hinted. These words almost caused Zhang Judi to cry out in surprise. So, she was. He turned around and roared back at her, then continued to walk forward, intending to leave. "May I ask, can you tell us what happened to make you so agitated all of a sudden? I think we can talk about it slowly after we calm down." When Zhou Dongxuan saw that Yun Jian was involved in this, he was eager to know the reason. "Slowly? What else do we have to talk about? What's there to talk about? Do you know who you've offended?" Her. She's Falcon Hall's boss. That man just now is Falcon Hall's elder, Duan Lei. How can Elder Duan Lei's words be false? Get away from me, all of you. I don't want to see you anymore. Appalling. Zhang Judi ran off immediately after that, leaving Zhou Dongxuan, Wang Qiaoyu, and the rest who were dumbfounded. What did Zhang Judi say? Yun Jian was Falcon Hall's boss? The terrifying woman who had led Falcon Hall from the top mafia group in Longmen City to the top Enja province within half a year was her? Chapter 1467. Zhou Dongxuan, Wang Xiaoyu, and the others turned pale when they heard Zhang Judi's words. This news was simply too frightening. Yun Jian didn't know about the frightening things that happened here. She also didn't know that Zhou Dongxuan, Wang Xiaoyu, and the others already knew about her identity. Yun Jian habitually bypassed the bar and came to a VIP room. This was the place where she and Su Zetian had arranged to meet. When Yun Jian reached the door of the VIP room and reached out to open the door, a waitress with professional makeup stopped her. "Hello, little girl. This is the VIP room. Do you have a reservation?" The waitress deliberately stood there to wait for someone because she heard that a very important person was coming here today to meet the important person who was already sitting in the room. Therefore, she stood there to serve the important person who was about to arrive. Seeing Yun Jian casually open the door, the waitress thought that Yun Jian was a girl who got lost in the bar. "I made an appointment with the person inside." With that, Yun Jian held the door handle and opened it. Just as she pressed the button and was about to open the door, the waitress stopped Yun Jian's hand. She frowned and forced herself to control her temper. She said to Yun Jian, "Little girl, don't mess around. Little girl, don't mess around. The people here are all big shots. You and I can't afford to offend them. Just go play by yourself, she's the important person who's coming to our bar. You don't have to come to work tomorrow." The waitress was about to stop her when Duan Lei's voice rang out. His words determined the waitress's fate. The little girl in front of her was the important person she was supposed to serve. The waitress was frightened. She hurriedly bowed and apologized to Yun Jian. "I'm sorry. I was blind just now. Don't fire me. I was wrong. Please give me another chance." The waitress was indeed impatient just now. The slight frown on her face was enough to express everything. Yun Jian usually ignored such trivial matters. She opened the door and went in directly. It was up to Duan Lei to decide whether to fire the waitress or not. As soon as she opened the door and entered, she saw Su Zetian sitting in front of her. There were two middle-aged men sitting beside Su Zetian. Of course, Yun Jian didn't come here just to talk to Su Zetian about Falcon Hall's trivial matters. She had something official to deal with. The two middle-aged men were about the same age, but they were at least in their 40s. One of them was the boss of the number 1 gang in the neighboring province near Zhe province, Heilong. The other was the number 1 gang's number 1. He had a close relationship with he was the number 1 gang boss of the neighboring province's number 1 gang. No matter who they were both in the underworlds as in the underworld. Today, they had specially come from other places to visit the boss of Zhe province's number 1 gang, Rakshasa, and had the intention of befriending him. Yun Jian had come here to meet both of them. They were were they? Were they, were saw Yunzas. And was. Them saw were saw the soundproofing in the room was excellent, so no one in the room could hear what happened outside. Heilong had already stood up. He looked at Yun Jian and opened his mouth. In the end, he turned to Su Zetian with a smile. He pointed at Yun Jian and asked, "Brother Su, is this girl your daughter?" Yun Jian was too young. She was more than old enough to be Su Zetian's daughter. Su Zetian laughed when he heard that. He introduced Yun Jian to Heilong and Qi Shangjin. The words from Su Zetian's mouth shocked the two men. Chapter 1468. Heilong and Qi Shangjin's expressions changed immediately after Su Zetian introduced Yun Jian. What? The little girl standing before them who was a full size younger than them was the boss of Falcon Hall, Rakshasa, whom they were here to visit. The news was so shocking that Heilong and Qi Shangjin stood rooted to the ground, unable to react for a long while. Yun Jian was really too young. She was only in her teens, right? She was still underage, right? Was she really the Rakshasa who had only spent half a year to turn Falcon Hall into the number 1 gang in Zhe province? Ha ha ha, are you surprised? I'm sure that you'll be even more surprised later on. Su Zetian laughed loudly. His admiration for Yun Jian could no longer be described with words. "Why are you looking for me?" Yun Jian followed Su Zetian's words. As she spoke, she had already walked up to He Long and Qi Shangjin. Yun Jian's every move did not seem like a child's. Instead, she seemed much more mature. He Long and Qi Shangjin could not help but look directly at this teenage girl. Ahem. Let me introduce myself first. I'm He Long, the boss of Linyun Gang. He's the second in command of Vast Ocean Gang. I'm from the neighboring province, and he's from Gan Province. We're here to form an alliance with Falcon Hall. Seeing that Yun Jian was still a teenager, He Long thought that Yun Jian should be young and ignorant. He cast a wide net, thinking that Yun Jian would definitely agree to form an alliance with his gang and Qi Shangjin's gang. After all, Yun Jian was still a child. Someone like her who could lead Falcon Hall to become the #1 gang in Jia Province would definitely want to form an alliance with other gangs. After all, one more friend meant one less enemy. Everyone knew that. Moreover, since Falcon Hall had climbed to its current position, there would definitely be many people waiting for an opportunity to destroy Falcon Hall. After all, Falcon Hall had just become the #1 gang in a province. As long as Yun Jian was a smart person, she would definitely form an alliance with the #1 gangs in other provinces to strengthen her position. Therefore, He Long was 90% sure that Yun Jian would agree when he mentioned his intentions in front of Yun Jian. Moreover, she was only a teenage girl. Now that she had climbed to her current position, she would definitely want to keep it. In spite of it, He Long miscalculated. After He Long stated his purpose, Yun Jian rejected him directly. Falcon Hall won't form an alliance with any gangs in any form. Why? He Long asked as he looked at Yun Jian in shock. Yun Jian had already made her way to an empty leather sofa in the room and plopped herself down lazily. Crossing her legs, she narrowed her eyes as a sharp glint flashed across them. Qi Shangjin had the same question as He Long. The sect that He Long and Qi Shangjin were in had the same status as Falcon Hall. They were both the top sects in their respective provinces. Logically speaking, Yun Jian should have agreed to their requests in a hurry. After all, an alliance between the #1 gangs was beneficial to both parties. Especially a girl like Yun Jian. She was so young. Shouldn't she be inexperienced? With such benefits, shouldn't she have decisively agreed to it? Just as He Long and Qi Shangjin were puzzled, Yun Jian's next words overturned their understanding and shocked them like never before. I only accept gangs that want to join Falcon Hall. Yun Jian paused at this point, then continued arrogantly, of course, you can choose not to join me, but I believe that I will forcefully take all of your gangs under my banner in the near future. Arrogant. Arrogant. That was the first impression that Yun Jian gave to He Long and Qi Shangjin. Chapter 1469. Yun Jian's words were more than arrogant. More than arrogant. She was as arrogant as the heavens. Everyone present was stunned by her arrogant words and aura. Even Su Zetian was shaken. Back then, Yun Jian had taken away Su Zetian's Dragon Head Gang and renamed it Falcon Hall. A long time ago, Su Zetian had invited Yun Jian to join Dragon Head Gang, but Yun Jian wanted the entire gang. The scene just now overlapped with the one from a long time ago. What did not change was that Yun Jian was still as arrogant as ever. However, she had the right to be so. Dragon Head Gang was the worst gang in Jia Province back then, but under Yun Jian's leadership, it had developed into the top gang in Jia Province today. Back then, Su Zetian and his brothers had built Dragon Head Gang from scratch. More than anyone else, Su Zetian hoped that Dragon Head Gang, now known as Falcon Hall, would rise higher and go further than anyone else. In spite of it, becoming the top gang in Longmen City was already the limit in Su Zetian's hands. In retrospect, Su Zetian even felt fortunate that he had passed the gang to Yun Jian back then. Otherwise, there was no doubt that it would have been difficult for Dragon Head Gang to maintain its position as Longmen City's top gang, let alone become the top gang in Jia Province. Su Zetian had experienced it firsthand, hence, he chose to believe in Yun Jian. However, He Long and Qi Shangjin were different. Both of them had come here with the intention of forming an alliance. What about Yunjian? She said no to forming an alliance. That aside, she even wanted to annex all the gangs. That was a fool's dream. Hence, He Long's expression darkened as he warned Yunjian in a dark tone. Young man, I recognize you as Falcon Hall's boss. You've led Falcon Hall to become the top gang in Jia province. It wasn't easy and you're quite capable. However, you're still young. You're not as experienced or farsighted as we are. Don't expect too much at such a young age. Falcon Hall is powerful, but it's not powerful enough to annex all of us. You're so young yet you speak so arrogantly. You must know that there's always someone better out there. One must know when to advance and when to retreat. Don't think too highly of yourself. I'd like to see if we're still no match for a mere Falcon Hall if all of us work together. He Long's expression immediately darkened. Yunjian had said that one day, she would forcefully take all the gangs under her banner. He Long knew that the alliance was definitely not going to work out. Furthermore, Yunjian had said that she would forcefully take all the gangs under her banner. Wasn't the Lin Yun Association and the Vast Ocean Association among all the gangs? Since Yunjian had said so, He Long naturally didn't need to be courteous. Shangjin, let's go. After He Long lectured Yunjian, he angrily turned around and was about to leave with Qi Shangjin. He Long and Qi Shangjin had originally come to discuss an alliance with Yunjian. Who knew that Yunjian would be so insensible and even say such arrogant words? Just as He Long and Qi Shangjin reached the door of the private room and were about to reach out to open the door, Yunjian's faint voice came from behind them. How dare you act so impudently in my territory? Did I allow you to leave? As she spoke, He Long and Qi Shangjin felt a strong murderous intent coming from behind them. The two of them turned around at the same time and saw two curved knives flying toward them. The knives were thrown far away by the person who threw them, but they were sharp enough to make He Long and Qi Shangjin's expressions change. The two of them dodged to the side, barely avoiding the fatal blow from the small knife. However, because their reaction speed was not fast enough, He Long and Qi Shangjin's single-handed arms were ruthlessly cut by the knife, causing them to bleed. When the two of them reacted, their eyes widened as they looked at Yunjian, who was still sitting on the sofa. Just throwing two knives was enough to injure the two of them. They wouldn't even be able to dodge them. What kind of speed was that? For a moment, He Long and Qi Shangjin's expressions changed drastically. If their senses weren't wrong, Yunjian hadn't used her full strength. If Yunjian used her full strength, the two of them might not even be able to survive one of her knives. Chapter 1470. He Long and Qi Shangjin went crazy again, but they left with their tails between their legs. In the end, Yunjian didn't make things difficult for He Long and Qi Shangjin. After all, He Long represented the number one gang in the neighboring province, while Qi Shangjin represented the number one gang in the entire Gan province. The gangs behind them were on the same level as Falcon Hall, so their status couldn't be underestimated. If Yunjian really killed the two of them, it wouldn't benefit her at all. She wouldn't do something that wouldn't benefit her at all. Seeing the two of them leave the VIP room, Yunjian narrowed her eyes. She stood on the spot and said to Su Zetian, "Send someone to monitor their every move. Send someone to keep an eye on their every move. In at most a year, I want them to be destroyed." In at most a year, she would lead Falcon Hall to take over all the gangs in Country Z. Su Zetian was in high spirits after hearing Yunjian's words. He liked Yunjian's ambition. Yes. Su Zetian nodded. After walking out of Hotel Ding Ding, Yunjian went home with the birthday present she bought for Qin Yiru. She first returned to the huge villa that she lived in with Ce. Just as she opened the door, a familiar male scent wafted over. The next second, she was hugged by this familiar male scent. Yunjian wasn't surprised to be hugged by this familiar male scent. She leaned forward and asked, "I thought you couldn't come back." "It's mother-in-law's birthday, so of course I have to come back." Ce was very tall, so Yunjian's head could barely reach Ce's chin. At this moment, Ce reached out and patted Yunjian's head. "Young master, can we go downstairs now?" Just as Ce finished speaking, Shui Ying's shout came from upstairs. Ce resisted the urge to slap Shui Ying to death. He reluctantly let go of Yunjian's body, then shouted from upstairs, "Get down." Shui Ying walked down innocently with Si Luo following behind him. Si Luo was carefully following behind Shui Ying as they walked down from the second floor. Shui Ying even reached out to stroke Si Luo's shoulder as they walked past the stairs. Si Luo looked up at Shui Ying fearfully. She was afraid that if she didn't follow his instructions, she would be called a dumb girl. Hence, Si Luo hesitated for a long time before reaching out and grabbing Shui Ying's outstretched hand. Then, he was carefully led downstairs. "Idiot, hurry up." Shui Ying shouted again when he saw that Si Luo was hesitating to give him his hand. 5:30 p.m. was Qin Yiru's time to get off work. She was busy at home. Gu Junjian was personally cooking. He was wearing an apron and was still cooking in the kitchen. Everything was set up. Yun Yi, Qin Yu, Shui Ying, Si Luo, Xiao Yunju, Duan Li, Duanya, and Mo Senator, almost everyone who was supposed to be there was there. The doorbell rang at 5:45 p.m. Usually, Qin Yiru would have gotten off work at this time, so Yunjian ran to open the door in her slippers. However, when the door opened, the person she saw was not Qin Yiru but Lu Lanhua. This woman was her nominal grandmother, Yun Gang's birth mother. Yunjian froze. She did not expect Lu Lanhua to be here. She remembered how Lu Lanhua had treated Qin Yiru and how shameless she was back then. Just as Yunjian was about to chase her away, Lu Lanhua suddenly knelt down in front of Yunjian and shouted with all her might. Chapter 1471. Last time, Yun Gang went to gamble again and couldn't pay back the money he owed. At that time, Yun Jian saved Yun Zhang's family who was innocently implicated. As for Yun Gang's life and death, she didn't care. Yun Jian said a long time ago that after she helped Yun Gang pay back the 5,000 yuan he lost in gambling, his life and death would have nothing to do with her. First of all, Yun Jian wasn't Yun Gang's biological daughter. Yun Gang also didn't fulfill his duty as a father to her. She didn't need to raise Yun Gang as her loving father. Taking a step back, Yun Gang directly abandoned his family and ran away after he lost money in gambling. Later on, he even let his mistress appear and humiliate Qin Yiru. Also, Lu Lanhua told Qin Yiru that it was okay for a man to cheat a little, which left a deep impression on Yun Jian. The moment she opened the door, Lu Lanhua knelt down in front of her. She even knelt on the ground, casually kneeling in front of Gu Yunjian's door. This was a villa area, but even so, there were neighbors nearby who could see the scene of Lu Lanhua kneeling in front of Yunjian. Let's not talk about why Lu Lanhua was looking for Yunjian. Just based on the fact that Lu Lanhua chose to kneel in front of Yunjian at this time and place, she most likely thought that Yunjian would be too embarrassed to help her into the house, so she knelt down heavily. If it was someone else, perhaps for the sake of face, or perhaps because they felt that Lu Lanhua looked pitiful, they would really quickly help Lu Lanhua up. But Yun Jian wouldn't. Last time, Gang Er's legs were crippled. Now, even walking is a problem. Last time, that group of people refused to let Gang Er go. They even said they wanted to kill him. You're Gang Er's biological daughter. How can a biological daughter not care about her father's matters? Save him. Save him, ah. As Lu Lanhua spoke, she tried to use her hands to hold Yun Jian's legs, waiting for Yun Jian to help her up from the ground. This damned girl. Hurry up and help her up. How long would she have to kneel? Lu Lanhua actually wanted to win Yun Jian's sympathy so that she could sit down in the room first. After he sat down, he began to talk about his hardships during this period of time. Then, he would ask Gu Junjian or Qin Yiru to take him in. But who would have thought that Yun Jian, that wretched girl, would make her kneel at the door and refuse to let her get up? I've already said that he has nothing to do with me. You don't have to beg me here. Even if you kneel until tomorrow, I won't pity you and let you in. Also, if you continue to pester me endlessly, there's no need for those people to cripple him. I'll go and kill him right now. Yun Jian said it word by word. Today was Qin Yiru's birthday, and Lu Lanhua was using this opportunity to gain sympathy. Yun Jian could not stand it anymore. Fortunately, Qin Yiru had not returned home yet. Otherwise, Qin Yiru would be sad every time she saw the past. After all, no one wanted to recall the unpleasant past. You're trying to kill your father. Oh my God, how can there be such a vicious daughter like you in this world? Lu Lanhua was terrified by what Yun Jian said. After all, she had gotten used to insulting Qin Yiru and Qin Yiru before they got married, so she could not change her habit now. Thus, it did not take long for Lu Lanhua to revert to her original form. Yun Jian frowned slightly. In the next second, she grabbed Lu Lanhua's collar and dragged her toward the villa's door amidst Lu Lanhua's cries and screams. Hey, you! What are you doing? Yun Jian, Xiao Jian, you can't do this to your grandma. I'm your real grandma. I've been good to you before, haven't I? Ah! The last scream was when Yun Jian threw Lu Lanhua out of the villa's door. The surrounding neighbors loved to watch a good show. At this time, when they saw that there was such a lively scene, they all gathered around. They saw Yun Jian holding something in her hand and flinging it out of the villa. Then, Yun Jian told Lu Lanhua in front of everyone, not afraid of airing her dirty linen in public. Chapter 1472. Yun Jian's words made the neighbors who were watching the show blink. Just as Yun Jian finished speaking, Lu Lanhua simply sat down on the ground and shouted without any hesitation, "Heavens! Is there still any justice in this? She even wants to hit her own grandmother. This is too much. Too much. Everyone, come and judge this." As she spoke, Lu Lanhua beat her own feet and shouted like a homeless person. The only difference was that as she beat her own legs, she added fuel to the fire as she told the story. However, she deliberately omitted the vicious way she had treated Yun Jian and Qin Yiru in the past. Her own father's legs are now crippled. But the two of them are great. One remarried to a soldier and is now enjoying life. The other punched and kicked her own grandmother. Is there still any justice in this? Where are the police? Where did the police go? Quickly call the police over to judge this. All of you are here to bully an old woman like me. Bullying an old woman like me who can't walk properly, where is the justice in this? Lu Lanhua saw that more and more neighbors were gathering around Qin Yiru's house, and her shouts became louder and louder. Those who didn't know would really think that after Yun Gang's legs were crippled, Qin Yiru saw that Yun Gang was crippled, then turned around and married Gu Junjian. Yun Jian, on the other hand, stopped her grandmother from entering the house. Before Yun Jian could explain, Lu Lanhua's words had already caused the surrounding crowd to point and gossip. "TSK, I didn't expect Officer Ge's current wife to be such a woman. I was wondering why Officer Gu suddenly got married after divorcing his ex-wife for so many years. This new wife even has a family to feed. I heard that he married her from a poor village. TSK. I reckon that Officer Gu got married to her because he was set up, right? I think she is an indecent woman herself. She even abandoned her husband who can't walk properly. I think this kind of woman should be drowned in a pig cage. That's right. I didn't expect Qin Yiru to be that kind of person. In the past, when he met us, he was still fine. Who would have thought that in the end, we really don't know his true nature. Whether it was in the countryside or the city, there was no lack of gossipy women. Whenever something happened to a family, these gossipy women would immediately pop out to gossip. These days, whether it was in the countryside or in the countryside, women who abandoned their original husbands and ran away with other men were especially ostracized. What Lu Lanhua said was simply a complete reversal of right and wrong. Lu Lanhua thought that Yun Jian and Qin Yiru wanted to get rid of her and Yun Gang. There was no way. How could his granddaughter really ditch him just because she had become rich and started a company? They are related by blood. Moreover, Yun Jian's legs were broken not long ago. Now, he couldn't even afford to go to the hospital to see a doctor. Lu Lanhua was thinking that Yun Jian wouldn't pay. Then she would make a fuss. Great. She ruined Yun Jian's and Qin Yu's good reputation. In this era, people paid attention to reputation. Lu Lanhua cried and threw a tantrum, slapping her thighs and sitting on the ground like a beggar. This made the people around her believe her. No one noticed that Yun Jian's face was getting darker and darker. Ce didn't follow her out because he knew that she could handle this kind of simple matter by herself. Gu Junjian was cooking in the kitchen, so he didn't know what was going on. The only person standing beside Yun Jian was Yun Yi. Because of this matter, only Yun Jian and Yun Yi could stand up and say something. At this moment, when Lu Lanhua saw that everyone was helping her, she became even more excited. Yun Jian wasn't in a hurry to speak. She simply crossed her arms and watched. It was only when Lu Lanhua was done crying about all the hardships that never happened that Yun Jian's cold voice rang. "Are you done?" This simple sentence made Lu Lanhua shiver. However, when Lu Lanhua saw that there were so many people around, she felt that Yun Jian wouldn't dare to do anything to her. Hence, Lu Lanhua said, "How can I be done? Your mother is AB*TCH who abandoned her husband." Lu Lanhua was doing this because she thought that Yun Jian was rich now. If she made a scene, Yun Jian would feel that it was bad for her reputation. Hence, she would probably give her some money to stop her from talking. However, before Lu Lanhua could finish speaking, Yun Jian took a step forward in front of everyone. She slapped Lu Lanhua hard on the face. This slap made Lu Lanhua fall to the ground and spit out her fake teeth. The force was so strong that Lu Lanhua's face was almost deformed. Chapter 1473. Everyone was shocked. No one expected Yun Jian to hit Lu Lanhua. After all, a granddaughter hitting her grandmother would be scolded for being unfilial. In the words of the villagers, such a fierce daughter would never be able to get married in the future. One of the older aunties saw Yun Jian slap Lu Lanhua to the ground. She immediately scolded Yun Jian and ran over to help Lu Lanhua up. "Oh. What kind of granddaughter is this?" Not only did she chase her grandmother out of the house in front of everyone, she even slapped her own grandmother. "Look, this, her fake teeth are falling out," the auntie said as she helped Lu Lanhua up. The auntie thought that Lu Lanhua was telling the truth, so she scolded Yun Jian as she spoke. Coupled with Lu Lanhua's words, everyone felt that Yun Jian was the one in the wrong. "Grandma, I'm calling you Grandma again today because you really treated me well in the past." "Yes. You did treat me well. But ask yourself honestly, have you ever been good to my mother and sister?" Just as Lu Lanhua was twisting the truth and talking about her own public opinion, Yun Yi really couldn't stand it anymore, so he spoke up. The moment Yun Yi spoke up, the gossipy women who were speaking up for Lu Lanhua all stopped talking and looked at Yun Yi. However, Yun Yi continued to speak. "When my mother divorced my father's legs weren't crippled yet, right? The 2 houses in our hometown were built with the money that my mother worked hard to earn for more than 10 years. During the divorce, my mother didn't take a single cent and left with my sister and me. My father gambled for more than 10 years. Whenever he came home, he would steal the money that my mother worked hard to accumulate and return to the casino. When did he ever care about us? When did he ever care about my mother? When school started last year, my father gambled again. He lost the bet and even gave the loan sharks a loan. The loan sharks came to my house and even had designs on my sister. Where were you at this time? Where was my father? My mother was able to accept all of that, but what did my father do with the money he won from gambling? Not only did he mix around with a mistress, but he also brought all the money from the family to the mistress's house. My mother has never done anything wrong to my father. Dad brought all of this upon himself. He made a bet himself, so he deserves to have his legs crippled." Yun Yi clenched her fists and roared the last sentence with a complicated expression. Yun Yi didn't want to say anything bad about Yun Gang. After all, he was his biological father. However, under such circumstances, Yun-yi really couldn't hold it in anymore. Today was Qin Yiru's birthday, and LV Lanhua had chosen such a day to cause trouble. If she wasn't doing this on purpose, then what was? Hearing Yun-yi's words, the group of gossipy women instantly stopped talking. It was only then that Yun-yi turned his gaze to Lu Lanhua and growled at her in exasperation. He said angrily to Lu Lanhua, "If it were me who slapped my sister just now, I would have stabbed you to death instead of just giving you a simple slap. My mother has worked hard for the Yun family all her life. But what did she get in return? How did the Yun family treat my mother and my sister in the past? Now that something has happened, you want to cause trouble because our family is rich, right? Let me tell you, I'll take care of my mother and my sister now. You want to cause trouble? No way." Yun-yi's knuckles cracked when he said this. That was the kind of anger that only people who had experienced it could show. The surrounding people were dumbfounded, especially the gossipy woman who had just said that Yun Jian wasn't a good person. Even Lu Lanhua was speechless. No one had expected that Yun-yi, who had always been obedient and polite to everyone and had excellent grades, would say such things in order to protect Qin Yiru and Yun Jian. Chapter 1474. Although Yun-yi's words sounded a little extreme, the people around him could tell what he was implying. Lu Lanhua was completely a vicious mother-in-law. In the past, she abused her daughter-in-law Qin Yiru. Now that Qin Yiru had married well and her daughter and son were successful, she shamelessly came to ask for money. She was simply a shameless old woman. The gossipy women present were generally women who had experienced fierce battles with their mothers-in-law. Generally, the relationship between mothers-in-law and daughter-in-law was not good, unless the mother-in-law was a very cultured woman who would not be calculative. Therefore, the gossipy women especially hated unreasonable mothers-in-law. And just as Lu Lanhua's image as a vicious mother-in-law was established, the surrounding people who were watching the show began to point at Lu Lanhua. Those gossipy women simply rushed into the house, took all kinds of vegetables and eggs, and threw them at Lu Lanhua. The auntie who reached out to help Lu Lanhua had already helped Lu Lanhua up. Now that she heard Yun-yi's words, she directly let go of her hand that was supporting Lu Lanhua. That was not all. The auntie directly pushed Lu Lanhua to the ground again, and then cursed at Lu Lanhua. "Great. So the slut is you, old woman. I was wondering, Qin Yiru is usually modest and amiable, how could she become like what you said? Damned old woman, get lost. Get out of here. Your skin is really thick. You actually have the nerve to come here and ask Qin Yiru for money. Get lost. Damned old woman. Get out of our villa district. People like you don't deserve to come here." Similar curses like this were endless. What was more frightening was that these gossipy women even ran home to take all kinds of vegetables and eggs, and ran out to throw them at Lu Lanhua. "Great, all of you. Just you wait. All of you are trash. Scum of society. You even want to hit an old woman. See if I don't go to the police station and sue you to death." Lu Lanhua crawled up from the ground in a disheveled manner, brushing away the eggs and vegetables that were thrown at her face as she cursed back at Yun Jian, Yun-yi, and the other gossipy women who were throwing rotten eggs at her. Lu Lanhua was never the kind of old woman who would bow down. She was famous in Xinjiang town for her shrewdness. Of course, Lu Lanhua would not go to the police station to sue them. She was only doing this to find a chance for herself to slip away. As he walked, he continued to run. His face was filled with extreme hatred. It was the appearance of someone who refused to change despite repeated admonitions. Once Lu Lanhua was far away, the people around her, including the gossipy women who had insulted Qin Yiru, came over to apologize to Yun Jian and left. Not long after they left, they were back, came back from the entrance. Came back when they saw Qin's. "Xiao Jian, Xiao Yi, what's going on here?" Qin Yiru asked curiously when she saw the vegetables scattered on the floor and the egg with its yolk cracked open. "A rat tried to steal something but everyone smashed it to death. Mom, let's go home." Yun Jian pulled Qin Yiru's hand and headed home. Yun Jian only gave a brief explanation about the battlefield just now. Qin Yiru had long forgotten that it was her birthday today. She nodded and followed Yun Jian home. The moment she stepped through the door, Qin Yiru saw a variety of dishes on the dining table at home. The variety of dishes was enough to hold a wedding banquet. Qin Yiru was dumbfounded when she saw it. She turned to ask Yun Jian, "Xiao Jian, what's the program today?" "Mom, it's your birthday today." Yun Jian curled her lips into a smile and nodded. "So, happy birthday, Mom." Qin Yiru was flabbergasted when she heard that. Gu Junjian had already taken the last big cake out from the kitchen and told Qin Yiru, "Honey, happy birthday. This is the first birthday I'm celebrating for you. I'll celebrate your birthday with you every year from now on." When Qin Yiru heard Yun Jian and Gu Yunjian's words, she realized at once that her daughter and husband had given her the cold shoulder in the morning to give her such a big surprise. Chapter 1475. Qin Yiru's mother, happy birthday. Just as Qin Yiru's eyes were turning red, Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya each grabbed a balloon with the words, "Happy birthday," on it and rushed down the stairs in an orderly manner. With Xiao Yunju taking the lead, the three of them handed the balloons with the handwritten words to Qin Yiru. The words on the balloons were, "Happy birthday. Qin Yiru's mother, the presents are in the balloons, hee. I was the one who came up with the idea of giving presents." Xiao Yunju took the lead and shook his head. He, Duanli, and Duanya each put their presents in the balloons and handed them to Qin Yiru. Xiao Yunju and the other two had been cooped up in the room since morning and refused to come downstairs for lunch. Qin Yiru had thought it was strange. The three children were usually very obedient, but today they were especially disobedient and refused to come down for lunch. It turned out that Xiao Yunju and the other two had started preparing presents early in the morning and wanted to give her a big surprise now. "Thank you, my babies." Qin Yiru was so touched that she almost cried. She bent down and kissed Xiao Yunju and the other two's foreheads and held the presents tightly in her hands. "Mom, this is mine." Yun Jian also wrapped her present in 3 layers and handed it to Qin Yiru. Yun Jian had never chosen a present for herself and wrapped it so meticulously before giving it to someone. Of course, this was excluding the clothes that she had bought for Ce. Yun Jian glanced at Ce, who was coming down from the second floor. The clothes he was wearing were almost colorless and were about to fall off. She had bought these clothes for him. Ever since he had put them on, he had been alternating between the clothes she had bought for him and had not worn any other clothes. Yun Jian was looking at the clothes Ce was wearing and did not look at Ce himself. Ce turned his head and looked over. When he saw Yun Jian looking at him, he smiled sinisterly and walked over as well. Even if the clothes were worn to the point of fading, Ce's handsomeness was on full display when he wore them. Ce walked over and grabbed Yun Jian's little hand, then walked over to the dining table. After everyone had taken their seats, dinner began as promised. Gu Yunjian's cooking was naturally delicious. Although Gu Junjian was a soldier, he was good at something. Cooking was one of his specialties. Gu Yunjian's cooking was very delicious. There were fish, prawns, crabs, and crabs for dinner. After the bowls and chopsticks were cleared, the whole family sat in the living room and watched TV. Yun Jian had just gone out with Qin Yiru to buy some snacks. She had just sat down on the empty sofa when she saw Ce sitting across from her. In the past, Ce would have sat down with Yun Jian when he saw her sitting across from him. However, he did not today. Just as she was thinking about this, Xiao Yunju suddenly ran over and stuffed a small piece of paper into Yun Jian's hand. He said to Yun Jian, "Sister, this is from Ce." With that, Xiao Yunju ran over to Ce and exchanged 3 lollipops. Then, he ate them with relish. Yun Jian felt like she had been sold. Pressing her lips together, she stopped thinking about it and opened the piece of paper that Ce had asked Xiao Yunju to pass to her. "Xiao Jian, what are you guys passing around so mysteriously? Let Mom see it too," Qin Yiru asked with a smile when she saw the piece of paper in Yunjian's hand. Mom, it's nothing, Yunjian said as she opened the piece of paper. When she saw Siyi's flamboyant handwriting on the paper, however, Yunjian's cheeks flushed as red as a chicken's butt. There was only one sentence written on it. Chapter 1476. Looking at the line, especially when Qin Yiru asked Yunjian to show her Siyi's note just now, Yunjian was stunned. Yunjian's cheeks flushed uncontrollably. Mom, I'm going to the washroom. Yunjian hurriedly slipped away. A note. Qin Yiru really wanted to see what Ce wrote for her daughter. However, Yunjian didn't give her the chance. She hurriedly walked to the washroom on the second floor. She returned to her room to use the washroom. Gu Yunjian's house was a villa. Every bedroom here had its own washroom. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that something was wrong when Yunjian returned to her room to use the washroom. After all, there was a washroom on the first floor. Just as Yunjian finished speaking, Ce, who was sitting on the sofa, stood up and walked towards Yunjian. He even found a brazen excuse for himself. I'm going to change my clothes. If Shuang wasn't afraid of being thrown into the Amazon forest by Ce, he would have stood up and ridiculed him. Young master, you just changed into the clothes that young mistress bought for you. Now you're going to change your clothes again? Bullsh *T. Change into a sweater. To hell with it. Changing clothes was a lie. Running to find young mistress was the real reason. In fact, everyone there had seen it and knew that Ce was spouting nonsense. However, no one exposed him. Yunjian ran upstairs with the paper written by Ce that made her blush. Just as she was about to close the door to her room, a slender hand pressed against the door. She looked up and saw Ce's face that was so handsome it was unreal. Don't come in. I need to use the washroom. Yunjian didn't want to see Ce at this moment. Hence, she found an excuse to avoid him. She didn't need to use the washroom at all. She just didn't want to see him in such an awkward situation. Then I'll wait for you in the room. Ce didn't wait for Yunjian to reply. He slipped into the room and closed the door behind him. Ce knew that Yunjian didn't want to use the washroom at all. Hence, when Yunjian turned around, Ce hugged her from behind. In a few moves, he pressed Yunjian's chest down and her butt onto the bed. Yunjian was caught off guard. By the time she reacted, a certain part of Ce's body was already pressed against her butt. Get up. I need to use the washroom. Yunjian struggled, but Ce didn't let go. The naughty hand hugged her waist from her back and slowly moved upwards. In the end, it circled around two plump areas. Xiao Jian, don't move. I'll just hug you. Ce bent down and whispered into Yunjian's ear. It wasn't the first time he had hugged her anyway. However, Yunjian clearly felt her bra being pushed up by a hand that grabbed her breasts at close range and squeezed gently. Let go. If you don't, I'll. Yunjian turned to push Ce away. 3 sneaky voices came from the corridor outside the door. Ce, Gij must be having an affair with Jijia. We have to catch them. The teacher said that they'll be sent to the police station if they're caught having an affair. Xiao Yunju's confident voice rang out. Then we mustn't let them escape. Duan Li's voice rang out. Hearing Xiao Yunju and the other two's footsteps, Yunjian dared not even breathe loudly, but she still pushed Ce, trying to get Ce to stand up. As she pushed, however, Yunjian's hand was placed very low because she couldn't lift it. As she pushed, her hand suddenly slid over a certain part of Ce's swollen part. The part that was pressed against her but actually grew thicker. Chapter 1477. The worst part was that Xiao Yunju and the other two were already standing outside Yunjian's bedroom. Yunjian couldn't even make a sound. If she were to say anything now, Xiao Yunju and the other two would hear her. Ce's breath instantly became heavy. He was a righteous young man who had never had sex before. He had never even touched a woman's hand before. This time, the woman he loved was lying in front of him. If he could resist, he might as well change his name to woman. He reached out and hugged Yunjian. At this moment, Xiao Yunju, who was standing at the bedroom door, spoke again. I'm sure that Big Brother CE is in Big Sister's room. Should we rush in now to catch them in the act or wait for them to come out? I see that the police always rush in to arrest people. Should we rush in too? Duanli suggested. That's impolite. Our teacher said that we can't be so impolite. At this moment, Duanya spoke in a serious tone as if she was reading a book. Her words were especially loud. Xiao Yunju and Duanli spoke softly. They knew that they had to speak softly because Big Sister and Big Brother CE would hear them. However, Duanya was still young, so she spoke loudly. The moment Duanya spoke, Duanli hurriedly covered Duanya's mouth and whispered, "Shoo. Shoo. Don't speak so loudly. Big Sister and Big Brother CE can hear you in the room." In fact, Yunjian and CE had heard them a long time ago. Even though Xiao Yunju and the other two spoke softly, Yunjian and CE could still hear them. Yunjian's expression darkened when she heard Yunju and the other boys talking about her and CE as if they were really having an affair behind everyone's back. Xiao Yunju and the other two waited outside the door for more than 10 minutes. CE and Yunjian maintained the same posture for more than 10 minutes. CE, who was burning with lust from Yunjian's teasing just now, calmed down. If it weren't for Xiao Yunju and the other two guarding the door, CE wouldn't have cared that Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian were still awake when Yunjian accidentally touched his manhood. He probably wouldn't have been able to hold himself back and would have ked Yunjian. The piece of paper that he had stuffed into Yunjian's mouth earlier was the best proof of his desire. At this moment, Qin Yiru's voice came from the bedroom door. "Xiao Zhu, why are the three of you standing here? I've already bought the snacks for you. Hurry up and go downstairs to eat." "Ha ha ha, Mother Qin, we got it." Xiao Yunju and the other two acted as if they had been caught doing something naughty. The three of them quickly ran downstairs, fighting to be the first to go downstairs. Children were like this, innocent and naive. More than 10 minutes later, Yunjian and CE had also tidied up their clothes. Yunjian even went back and forth to tidy herself up, afraid that something would be discovered when she went downstairs. When Yunjian went downstairs, Shuang even forcefully pulled Si Luo's hand. Si Luo retracted her hand in fear, but Shuang simply grabbed her hand and stopped her from moving. She didn't know how much Shuang had treated Si Luo during this period of time, but Si Luo didn't dare to resist at all. She pouted and sat where she was, withdrawing her hand. In the end, she had no choice but to let Shuang hold her tightly. When he saw Yunjian and CE coming downstairs, Shuang subconsciously asked, why did you guys take half an hour to change in the bathroom?" Just as Shuang asked this question, he instantly realized that he had asked the wrong question. He looked up and saw CE holding Yunjian's hand with a gloomy expression. Before CE could say anything, Shuang tried to say something else to ease the awkward atmosphere. The weather is really good today, haha. It was already dark outside. Shuang only realized that it was already dark after he said that. Then, Shuang could only laugh awkwardly and add, the weather is good today, ahem. Just as he finished speaking, Yunjian's phone rang. Yunjian took out her phone from her pocket and glanced at it. It was a landline number. Yunjian didn't know many people and didn't have a phone with her. There was only one person who could call her using a landline number, and that person was Lu Fian. Yunjian frowned slightly and immediately answered the call. Lu Fian's voice sounded from the other end of the line. Chapter 1478. Wang Cancan was in trouble. After all, she was her friend and had nothing to do with Yunjian. LV Fian didn't want to trouble Yunjian, but she had no choice. She usually stayed at school on weekends and had no friends or relatives. Moreover, it was late at night. There were 6 or 7 students in her class who didn't go home on weekends and stayed at school. LV Fian had already asked them for help one by one, but no one was willing to help her. She had no choice but to use the school's landline to call Yunjian. Today's matter was very important because if they couldn't save Wang Cancan, then Wang Cancan's life would be ruined. LV Fian knew Yunjian's ability and knew that Yunjian had the ability to protect herself. Therefore, LV Fian called Yunjian today to ask for Yunjian's help. When Yunjian heard that Wang Cancan was in trouble, she immediately thought of Wang Cancan's friendly face. When Yunjian was with LV Fian and Wang Cancan didn't completely ignore Yunjian just because she and LV Fian knew each other. Usually, when the three of them were together, Yunjian was always the one who was the most embarrassed and easily ignored. However, Wang Cancan didn't ignore her. Of course, the most important thing was that Wang Cancan chose a gift for Qin Yiru for Yunjian. Qin Yiru liked it very much. She just put on the apron that Yunjian gave her and said that she must wear it to work tomorrow. Yunjian had never chosen such a birthday gift for anyone. It was all because of Wang Cancan that Qin Yiru liked her gift. Wang Cancan was very careful when choosing the gift. In order to choose a gift that could make Qin Yiru happy, Wang Cancan even asked Qin Yiru about her hobbies, work, and so on. In the end, after careful selection and careful analysis, she came to a conclusion and finally chose to buy an apron. Because Qin Yiru could use it at work, and it was very practical. Therefore, Yunjian had told Wang Cancan that she owed her a favor. As long as it was within the scope of the conditions, Yunjian would help her. It was time to return Wang Cancan's favor. Yunjian wanted to go too. Wait for me at school. I'll be right there. Lu Fian nodded while sobbing. She sounded like she was scared out of her wits. After hanging up, Yunjian turned to look at Ce. Then she looked at Qin Yiru and said, "I'm going out for a while." After that, Yunjian turned around and walked out. "I'll go with you." Ce wanted to follow her. At this moment, Yunjian had already walked quickly to the main entrance. Ce followed behind Yunjian. The two of them stood at the main entrance where Qin Yiru and the others couldn't see. "I'm going with my classmates. It's urgent. Wait for me at home," Yunjian said to Ce. "I'll go with you." Ce repeated himself like a child. Yunjian suddenly stood on her tiptoes and moved closer to Ce. She tiptoed and moved closer to Ce. Then she planted a kiss on Ce's lips. This kiss was very short, but after Yunjian's kiss, Ce didn't insist. "Give me the keys. I'll be back soon." Yunjian's Ferrari had been repaired, but it hadn't been returned from the repair shop. She could only reach out and borrow the car from Ce. "Come back and let me touch it again. I'll give it to you." Ce held the car keys in his hand and made a shameless request to Yunjian. Yunjian's lips twitched. Because of the urgency of the matter, she agreed to Ce's shameless request shyly. "Give it to me," Yunjian's words made Ce's imagination run wild. Chapter 1479. When Yunjian drove to Lu Fian's school gate, she saw that the girl was already waiting for her not too far away. Lu Fian's small and delicate face was scrunched up tightly. Lu Fian was still the same as before. If something happened to her friend, she would not sit idly by. When she had just been reborn, the first person Yunjian met who helped her in Xinjiang town's toilet was Lu Fian. Lin Mengyu, who went against Yunjian back then, was the daughter of Xinjiang town's principal, but Lu Fian was not afraid of offending Lin Mengyu. Even if she would be implicated, Lu Fian helped her. Yunjian liked Lu Fian's personality as her friend. "Get in," Yunjian said to roll down the window. Lu Fian did not think much about how Yunjian knew how to drive a car because she was worried about Wang Cancan. She told Yunjian once she got in. "Xiao Jian, something happened to Cancan." She called me half an hour ago when she was in the toilet and said that Senior Duan Ming wanted to take her to a hotel but she wasn't willing. Senior Duan Ming said that they wouldn't do anything if they went to a hotel, so she agreed. I didn't think much about it at the time because Senior Duan Ming's conduct in school is still decent. I called Can later and realized that I couldn't get through to her phone. Just now, a girl who stayed over in our class said that Duan Ming's family was poor, so he often used his good looks to seduce girls. He abducted girls from school to a hotel and contacted some shady young men to sell the girls' virginity. Listen, the girls who were sold were sullied by more than 10 men in one night. The girls didn't dare to speak about it because the men forced them to take drugs and made them addicted to drugs. Some girls were originally good girls, but because they were addicted to drugs, once the drug addiction kicked in, those girls were originally clean and honest girls. But because of this damn drug addiction, they even went to nightclubs to sell their bodies. My classmate told me just now that a girl in our school received 5 customers a night because of this. Speaking of this, Lu Fian was already a little scared. At the same time, she hated drug traffickers. Drug traffickers were one of the most detestable people in the world. They only cared about their own profits, but they would do anything to harm other people's families. This kind of scum can only die, Yun Jian said. Then she stepped on the accelerator and went to the hotel that Lu Fian mentioned. Fortunately, Wang Can had told Lu Fian about the hotel where he and Senior Duan Ming had booked a room. Tomorrow Red Hotel. As soon as they entered the hotel, Yun Jian and Lu Fian asked the receptionist for Wang Can's specific room and went to the hotel. It was room 319. In the easternmost corner of the 3rd floor. On the easternmost staircase and elevator on the 3rd floor, there was a group of more than 10 people. They seemed to be accomplices. Outside the hotel, Duan Ming was squatting on the ground with his hands on his head. It was obvious that he had done something bad. Once this is done, you will be rewarded handsomely. A man at the side patted Duan Ming's head. He did not treat Duan Ming as a human at all and threw down a large pile of RMB from Duan Ming's head. Brother Xiong, how long has Mao Doer been in there? When will he be done? We brothers can't wait any longer. One of the men pulled up his pants and asked the man who was throwing money at Duan Ming. What's the rush? We just went in. Just as the man finished speaking, 2 figures ran up the stairs. Yun Jian and Lu Fian had clearly heard what the man had just said. They were already certain that Wang Can was in the hotel. Wang Can is inside? Yun Jian walked over to the hotel. Asking this question was just a slip of the tongue from Yun Jian's mouth. Who are you? Seeing that Yun Jian actually knew about Wang Can, the man immediately raised his voice. I will only give you 1 second to consider. Hand over Wang Can, or else none of you will leave today. All of you will die. Yun Jian glanced at them from the corner of his eyes, his sharp eyes causing the dozen or so people present to be stunned. Chapter 1480. The man, who was called Brother Xiong, casually raised his head and glanced at Yun Jian. Then, he raised his eyebrows and whistled. He looked at Yun Jian provocatively and said to Yun Jian in the words of a hooligan, Yo yo yo, look, where did this chick come from? She even said she wanted us to die. Where do you want us to die? Hee hee. Brother Xiong rubbed his hands and laughed sneakily. Then, he took a big step forward towards Yun Jian. Chick, you delivered yourself to my door. Are you with the one in the room? Why don't you follow us and have a good time? Heh heh heh, our skills are awesome. Do you want to try your hands? Brother Xiong rubbed his palms and the back of his hands and laughed sneakily. Brother Xiong was still rubbing his palms and the back of his hands when Yun Jian walked over and kicked Brother Xiong away and walked towards room 319. Yun Jian's kick seemed to be very light, but in fact, it was so strong that Brother Xiong fell down the hotel corridor. With a bang, Brother Xiong fell to the ground and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Brother Xiong felt that his internal organs were about to be damaged. He covered his heart and only reacted after a long time. When Brother Xiong reacted, he realized that Yun Jian had already walked towards room 319. His dozen or so brothers stared blankly at Yun Jian walking in that direction. At this time, none of them reacted. F***ck. This woman was really fierce. What are you guys standing there for? Waiting for the food to be served. Go for me. Catch her. After Brother Bear came to his senses, he cursed and roared. When the dozen or so brothers heard Brother Xiong's roar, they all rushed towards Yun Jian. The door of room 319 had been closed and locked. Needless to say, it was definitely the Mao Doer that Brother Xiong and the others were talking about. Yun Jian lowered her head slightly and saw Duan Ming sitting dispiritedly on the ground beside the door of room 319. There was no doubt that this was what Duan Ming had done. Duan Ming's family was poor, and he was the kind of family that couldn't even support his family. It was precisely because of this that he started to deceive girls, and used his handsome appearance to attract their attention everywhere. Normally, when a girl heard Duan Ming's request to get a room, she would follow him over. Then, Duan Ming would naturally charm the girl and call out these hooligans from society, and sully them. But Wang Cancan liked him, and had even mustered up the courage to confess to him yesterday, saying that she had completely fallen in love with him since junior high school. When Duan Ming heard Wang Cancan's confession, he thought that Wang Cancan would definitely agree to his request to get a room at the first possible moment. Who would have thought that Wang Cancan wouldn't agree to go at first? Later on, Duan Ming said that it was just a room, and the two of them wouldn't do anything. Only then did Wang Cancan go to the toilet and get a room with him. What happened next was more or less the same. After Wang Cancan and Duan Ming went to get a room, Duan Ming used the same method to charm Wang Cancan like how he charmed the other girls, and then attracted these hooligans. Now that their souls had returned to reality, just as Yun Jian walked to the door of room 319, Brother Xiong's group of brothers surrounded Yun Jian. The door of room 319 was locked. Standing there, Yun Jian was like leaning against a wall and being surrounded by these people. Brother Xiong wiped his mouth and chuckled. "Ha, let's see where you can run to now." Without the key to room 319, no one could enter. At least, that was what Brother Xiong thought. Everyone present thought the same. Xiao Jian. Lu Fian had witnessed Yun Jian's ability, but she still called out worriedly as she stood outside the circle and watched Yun Jian being surrounded by the crowd. "Of course, I'm going to open the door and escape," Yun Jian said with a light press of her lips. "Pfft. What did you say? You want to open the door? Ha ha ha. Are you stupid or stupid? The door is locked from the inside. You want to open it? Unless you have the ability to pick locks, you're just a young girl. You want to go into the room? Don't be ridiculous. Ha. The door behind you is nothing more than a wall to you. I think you'd better obey us obediently, or else." Brother Xiong's mocking tone rang out. His brothers around him guffawed as well. However, at this moment, a crack sound suddenly rang out. Yun Jian flipped her hand and a small blade appeared in it. She inserted the blade into the door lock and turned it gently. The blade was like a key, opening the door of room 319 directly. Brother Xiong and his men were dumbfounded. Brother Xiong, who had been guffawing earlier, was now dumbfounded. His laughter stopped abruptly. She had really opened the hotel door. Did this mean that she really knew how to pick locks? Chapter 1481. Such a young girl was actually a professional at picking locks? Brother Xiong and his group were all dumbfounded on the spot. They were all stunned on the spot, unable to react at all. Brother Xiong and his group watched as Yun Jian opened the door and entered. By the time they reacted, Yun Jian had already broken the door and entered. "Stop. Stop right there." Only then did Brother Xiong and the others react. Yun Jian had already walked through the door. He shouted loudly, and then chased closely behind Yun Jian's footsteps. 5 minutes ago, room 319. Inside the room. Wang Cancan had just woken up when he found himself lying flat on the hotel bed. Senior Duanming? Senior Duanming. Wang Cancan shouted twice and realized that her mouth was dry. She raised her hand and gently placed it on her forehead, but felt that her hand was quite heavy. Yo, the little beauty has already woken up. At this time, the sound of the shower and the toilet stopped, and a fat body walked out of the hotel toilet. This fat figure weighed at least 160 kilograms, and was so fat and clumsy that it made people shudder. This person was the Mao Doer that Brother Xiong and the others were talking about. Mao Doer looked at Wang Cancan foolishly, as if he had seen some delicacies. He wanted nothing more than to pounce on Wang Cancan and push him down. But at this moment, Wang Cancan could not escape, so Mao Doer did not plan to pounce on him immediately. As for this meat, he had to slowly taste it before he could enjoy its taste. The fat Mao Doer rubbed his hands that were covered with black hairs as he walked towards Wang Cancan. You. Who are you? Where's Senior Duanming? Wang Cancan struggled to get up, but she suddenly felt that her body was as soft as mud, and she couldn't stand up no matter how hard she tried. He, little beauty, you won't be able to escape. Who are you talking about, that brat Duanming? He's right at the door. He bought your first night for more than a dozen of US brothers. I'm the first one to enjoy you. Just stay where you are obediently and don't move. Big brother will dote on you right now. Mao Doer rubbed the back of his hands, and was about to pounce on Wang Cancan. What? It's Senior Duanming. This is impossible. Wang Cancan's face was pale and powerless. She looked at Mao Doer, and growled with certainty. Her Senior Duanming wouldn't betray her, he wouldn't. He wouldn't bring her to such a place just to sell her, but the drink that Senior Ming had given her when she was unconscious, when she woke up, she felt weak all over. Wang Cancan shook her head in disbelief, but she already knew what was going on. Who did this? She was just unwilling to admit it. Pfft, little girl, there are no good men. You were tricked, blame yourself for being stupid. Come over now and let big brother dote on you. Mao Doer chuckled and leaped towards Wang Cancan, who had collapsed on the floor beside the bed. Get lost. Scram. Wang Cancan had never thought that she would encounter such a thing. She screamed loudly and waved her hands, trying to wave away Mao Doer's disgusting hands that were covered in black hair. If one were to compare a girl's strength with a man's, there was no doubt that the man's strength was greater. Furthermore, Wang Cancan had taken a knockout drug. Her hands were completely stiff and could not be lifted at all. Mao Doer's dirty hands had already grabbed onto Wang Cancan's clothes, and just as Mao Doer was about to tear Wang Cancan's clothes apart, suddenly, Mao Doer was kicked so hard that she fell to the left side of the clothes rack. Wang Cancan had already thought of committing suicide in despair. She had even reached out to grab a glass on the bedside, intending to break the glass and swallow the glass to commit suicide. But Mao Doer was suddenly kicked away, causing Wang Cancan's eyes to widen. In the next second, what entered her eyes was Yun Jian's beautiful and exquisite face. As soon as Yun Jian entered the door, she kicked Mao Doer, who weighed 160 pounds, away. This scene caused Brother Xiong and the others who followed behind to be stunned on the spot. With Mao Doer's weight, even the strongest person in Brother Xiong's group couldn't lift him at all. And the result? This little girl kicked Mao Doer away as soon as she entered the door. She actually kicked Mao Doer away. Chapter 1482. Mao Doer, who had been kicked away, rebounded fiercely and then fell heavily to the ground. This scene once again shocked Brother Xiong and the others. Even Duanming and Lu Fian, who had poked their heads in from outside the door, were shocked. Then, the two of them were so shocked that they could not be described with words. Ugh, Mao Doer, who had been thrown against the wardrobe and then smashed to the ground, retched twice. He almost vomited out his lungs. The entire hotel room was only so big. When Yun Jian walked over, Mao Doer, who had been smashed against the wardrobe and then thrown to the ground, rolled naked into the corridor in front of Yun Jian. Yun Jian walked over and stepped on Mao Doer's abdomen, pushing Mao Doer away once again. Then, she walked straight to Wang Cancan, who had fallen to the ground. When she saw that the person who had saved her was Yun Jian, Wang Cancan almost burst into tears, but she still held it in. Yun Jian. A teardrop streaked across Wang Cancan's eyes. It was the kind of fear that came after escaping from death. I owe you a favor, Yun Jian said indifferently. As she spoke, she flipped her right hand and a dagger immediately appeared in her hand. Yun Jian did not even look at it. She threw the dagger towards the door of the hotel room behind her, which was also where Brother Xiong and the others were. Brother Xiong and the others suddenly saw a dagger fly past their eyes. They were scared out of their wits. They saw the dagger fly straight past the place where Brother Xiong and the others' eyes swept past, and it actually fiercely stabbed into a wooden table at the side. 3 points into the wood. It was nothing more than that. Suddenly seeing this dagger in Yun Jian's hand, she actually stabbed it into a wooden table without even looking at it. The people who were standing in the distance were completely terrified when they saw this scene. She didn't even look at it before stabbing the dagger into the wooden table. 3 points into the wood. If the table was replaced with the heads of everyone present, none of the people present dared to imagine what would happen to them if that were to happen. This little girl was not human at all. She was a devil. That kind of demon that made people panic, surprise, and fear. Get your asses in here. At this moment, Yun Jian bellowed with her back facing Brother Xiong and the others. With this shout, Brother Xiong and his men, who were crowding at the door, hurriedly squeezed into the house. Yun Jian's shout startled Brother Xiong and the others. Then, they all swarmed in through the door. Unknowingly, Brother Xiong's group had become so obedient. This scene stunned Duan Ming, who was paralyzed at the entrance. Every time Brother Xiong and his men appeared in front of him, which one of them wasn't insolent? That arrogant look simply did not treat him, Duan Ming, as a human being. Every time Duan Ming tricked a girl, as if his entire body had been sucked out of him and was paralyzed at the entrance, Brother Xiong would sprinkle him with 10 or so Grandpa Mao, and then sprinkle Grandpa Mao over his head without treating him as a human at all. Duan Ming thought that Brother Xiong and his group could be so arrogant in front of anyone. But Duan Ming was wrong. Yun Jian was just a little girl in her teens, but she had the ability to order Brother Xiong and the others around. She had the strength to make Brother Xiong and his group obey her orders. "Ha, sis, do you have any orders for this?" Brother Xiong, who was in high spirits just a moment ago, was now standing in front of Yun Jian like a pug. He looked at Yun Jian and forced out a smile, as if he was afraid of angering Yun Jian. In fact, Yun Jian had only made a few moves, and it was only those few moves that made Brother Xiong and the others feel fear towards Yun Jian from the bottom of their hearts. "Apologize," Yun Jian said softly. "Huh?" Brother Xiong didn't react for a moment. "I told you to apologize." Yun Jian kicked the back of Brother Xiong's knee, causing him to kneel down in front of Wang Cancan. "F***ck, you little doll, you really think you're invincible." There was a very ugly man on Brother Xiong's side who couldn't stand it anymore. Being bullied by a little girl like this, was this a joke? Just as the man was about to speak, 2 bright blades flew over the man's head and neatly nailed themselves into the wooden wall behind him. Chapter 1483. That blade had flown right over his head. Then it nailed into the wooden wall behind the man. At this moment, the man was so scared that he was completely dumbfounded. He turned around in a daze and looked at the 2 blades that had flown into the wooden wall. His eyes were lifeless. How many years of training would it take to achieve such a superb throwing knife technique? Moreover, did such a throwing knife technique really come from the hands of a young girl in her teens? It seems that all of you are very unconvinced. Then I can only use extreme methods to resolve today's matter. Yun Jian clenched her fists. Her red arc rose, and her entire person was like a god of death from hell, causing people to be terrified. Kacha kacha, Yun Jian clenched her fists, and a series of crisp sounds came from the bones of her fingers. This scene scared Brother Xiong out of his wits. He was afraid that he would be implicated, so he shouted at the brothers behind him, "All of you, apologize to Laozi. Quick! You bunch of useless pigs." With that, Brother Xiong hurriedly stood up, and then bent down to apologize to Wang Cancan. I apologize. It's all our fault today. It's all our fault. It's our fault. It's our fault. We deserve to die. Damn it." As Brother Xiong spoke, he even stretched out his hand and slapped himself on the face. At the same time, Brother Xiong's attention was always on Yun Jian, as if he was afraid that Yun Jian would kill him. Scram! Yun Jian said indifferently to Brother Xiong and the others. Then, she took off her coat and let Lu Fian drape it over Wang Cancan's body. Hey! Hey! We'll scram. Hearing that Yun Jian did not care about this matter, Brother Xiong and the others decided to escape first and come back to settle the score with Yun Jian next time. When they passed by the main entrance, Brother Xiong even pointed at Duan Ming, as if to say, "Just you wait." Wang Cancan did not cry. She was very strong, but she glared fiercely at Senior Duan Ming, who was sitting at the door. Her Senior Duan Ming, the Senior Duan Ming she loved the most, was actually that kind of person. Back then, she had fallen in love with Duan Ming because she was in the same school as Duan Ming in junior high. One time, during physical education class, her ping-pong ball had accidentally fallen into a smelly ditch in the school. Duan Ming was the only one who saw that she was in trouble and stood up to help her pick up the table tennis ball from the smelly ditch. At that time, Duan Ming was honest, well-behaved, and excellent in his studies. Wang Cancan silently liked him. When he reached high school, he even deliberately found out from others about the school that Duan Ming planned to enter, and then secretly entered the same high school as Duan Ming. However, Wang Cancan never have imagined that a person's living environment could change a person's mentality. Perhaps in the beginning, Duan Ming was an honest and well-behaved person, but living in a family that didn't even have enough to eat, if there was a job that could let him eat his fill, or even do bad things, Duan Ming would definitely do it without even thinking about it. Cancan, it's fine. It's fine. Let's go. Lu Fian put on her coat and glared fiercely at Wang Cancan, who was on top of Duan Ming at the entrance. She reached out and hugged Wang Cancan, patted Wang Cancan's back lightly, and whispered a few words. I'll send you back to school. Yun Jian had already retracted the dagger and throwing knife that she had thrown out. These daggers and throwing knives could be recycled and reused. She didn't have the habit of sticking these daggers and throwing knives into wooden stools and tables and then throwing them away. Chapter 1484. Yun Jian did not understand Wang Cancan's feelings, nor did she know how to comfort him. In the end, she left after sending Wang Cancan and LV Fian to school. Before she left, LV Fian thanked Yun Jian on behalf of the groggy Wang Cancan. Xiao Jian, today is really... I don't know what to do if it wasn't for you. As long as he's fine, Yun Jian replied. I'll help Cancan back to his dorm then. Drive slowly when you get back later. Don't get caught by the traffic police. LV Fian reminded softly as Yun Jian was an underage driver. Yun Jian nodded and returned to her Lamborghini sports car. She only left when she saw LV Fian helping Wang Cancan into the school gate. On her way home, she received a call from Su Zetian. Yun Jian was now developing her legitimate business and mafia business. Her legitimate business was New Cruise while her mafia business was Falcon Hall. Su Zetian and Zhang Jifan were the spokespersons for Falcon Hall and New Cruise respectively. Without Yun Jian around, Falcon Hall and New Cruise were supported by them. Su Zetian called to say that he had found out about the mafia that He Long and Qi Shangjin were in. Zhang Jifan came over to report to Yun Jian about New Cruise's recent sales trend as well. Ding ding bar, wait for me at the usual spot. Yun Jian told Su Zetian and hung up the phone. She stepped on the accelerator and turned her sports car toward Ding Ding Bar. 13 minutes later, they arrived at the entrance of Ding Ding Bar. Ding Ding Bar was already crowded during the day. Due to its recent popularity in Longmen City, Ding Ding Bar was crowded during the day. When it was night time, people from the night market would usually come to Ding Ding Bar. Recently, the other bars were not doing well in terms of sales. Only Ding Ding Bar's income was on the rise. This also showed that most of the people who came to nightclubs would choose Ding Ding Bar. In fact, there was another important reason for Ding Ding Bar's booming business. It was because Ding Ding Bar occupied a large area, about a quarter of the size of a school. Bars were usually only the size of a few rooms, but Ding Ding Bar was different. It was more than 10 times bigger than an average bar. Big investment, big return. The investment in Ding Ding Bar was high. It looked luxurious, but the consumption was similar to ordinary bars. Naturally, many people came. Some people thought of this, but they couldn't afford to invest. Naturally, they couldn't compete with Ding Ding Bar. At that time, Yun Jian had already arrived inside Ding Ding Bar. Yun Jian passed through countless private rooms and headed towards the VIP room in the corner. When they passed by a private room with its door open, Yun Jian could hear the noise of countless people inside, but she could still hear an obvious conversation in the private room. F***CK. I really don't know what kind of bad luck I have today. To think that he would meet such a terrifying woman. F***CK, I'm going to F***CK her to death. I'm not convinced. Yo, Brother Bear, what kind of person can make you so angry? Listening to your tone, could it be that the person was a woman? Why don't we brothers go a few rounds and F***CK her to death? We have hundreds of brothers here. Are you afraid that we can't F***CK a woman to death? We'll definitely vent our anger. If I meet her now, I'll beat her until she kneels down and begs me to F***CK her. Ha ha ha. When a group of men gathered together, it wasn't surprising that they liked to talk dirty. Yun Jian was just passing by, but her ears were sharp. The words, Brother Bear, made her raise her eyebrows slightly. Of course, Yun Jian didn't dodge on purpose. She walked directly through the door of the private room. It happened to be the trace of Brother Bear's disgusting obscenities. Brother Bear had been saying F***CK, but when he saw Yun Jian appear in front of him naked, his face instantly darkened. She's the terrifying woman who made us apologize just now. Brother Bear saw that Yun Jian's eyes were on the road ahead and not looking into the private room at the entrance, so she did not hear him telling his other buddy that he would beat her until she kneeled and begged him to F***CK her the next time he saw her. It was an extremely perverted threat. In the end, before Yun Jian could even make her way over, one of his slow-witted brothers actually bellowed at the sight of her. This roar made Brother Bear tremble with fear. Brother Bear had always been afraid of Yun Jian from the bottom of his heart. Although he wanted to take revenge, now wasn't the time. When Brother Bear's stupid brother roared, Yun Jian, who was about to ignore him and walk over, turned around. Her pure and beautiful appearance shocked everyone present. Chapter 1485. When Yun Jian glanced over, Brother Xiong and the rest who had seen Yun Jian's skills before were so frightened that their faces changed. The men who were discussing with Brother Xiong and the rest had not seen Yun Jian's skills. Now that they saw Yun Jian standing at the entrance and saw that Yun Jian was such a beautiful young lady, all of them started whistling. Oh my, such a beautiful young lady. Brother Xiong, are you sure this young lady is the one who is so powerful that she could subdue all of you by herself? One of the men whistled and walked towards Yun Jian. Then, he stood not far away and looked at Yun Jian for a long time before he finally asked. Such a beautiful young lady. Even I want to woo her and make her my girlfriend. Brother Xiong, no wonder you wanted to beat her up and made her beg you to F***CK her. Ha ha ha. That was not all. The man who was whistling stared at Yun Jian's perfect face for a long time before he finally spoke. Brother Xiong was a little afraid that Yun Jian would make a move. However, he suddenly thought about it. This was a nightclub. This was the territory of these gang members. Moreover, today was Brother Xiong's gang's gathering. The gang leader had booked more than 10 private rooms. Now, all the people in the surrounding rooms were his brothers. There should be at least a few hundred people in this group. A few hundred people. Could it be that he, Brother Xiong, had to be afraid of Yunjian, this stupid woman? From the looks of it, he should let this woman lick his knees today. Just now, she actually wanted him, Brother Xiong, to kneel down to Wang Cancan and apologize by slapping himself. If he did not take revenge for this, his name would be written in reverse. Yunjian looked up slightly at the room. She did not care about the gazes and comments of outsiders. Otherwise, just based on her identity as the #1 secret agent in her previous life, how many people would look at her and gossip about her? Back then, there were even people who said that Yunjian knew Enhan's leader. Then, they said that she knew Enhan's leader. The reason why she could sit at the top of the international secret agent ranking was all because she opened her legs and served Enhan's leader. Cough. Although she had met CE after her rebirth, she had relied entirely on her own abilities to climb up to that throne. She had not relied on anyone else. As the saying goes, it's up to you to decide what others say. You just have to walk your own path. Therefore, after hearing what these people said, Yunjian decided to ignore them and walk forward. But just as Yunjian took 2 steps forward and was about to ignore Brother Xiong and the others, Brother Xiong's roar rang out in time. Stop. It is you. Stop right there. You still haven't settled the score between us. You want to leave? No way. The reason why Brother Xiong suddenly became so arrogant was because over 100 people from his gang were gathered here. Could Yunjian withstand the attacks of hundreds of people by herself? Puff. He didn't believe it. Yunjian raised her eyebrows slightly and turned around. Originally, he thought that Brother Xiong and his group had already learned their lesson, but he didn't expect them to still be so stubborn. What? Yunjian crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her frail body looked rather frail, but when she turned around, her sharp eyes seemed to be able to kill everyone present. Brother Xiong was so frightened by her sharp eyes that his body trembled violently. However, Brother Xiong still calmed himself down and pretended to be very calm as he looked at Yunjian. I want you to apologize to us. Otherwise, I will let you die a horrible death. Chapter 1486. Let me die a horrible death? Yunjian seemed to have heard something interesting as she stopped and looked up at Brother Xiong and the rest, her tone tinged with interest. Don't think that I'm afraid of a little girl like you. I'm from the 9 Valleys gang. Our brothers are gathering here today. There are hundreds of us. If you know what's good for you, you'd better apologize quickly or else. How about I strip you naked and let all our brothers here enjoy you? Haha. Brother Xiong was quite afraid of Yunjian in the beginning, but he was no longer afraid of Yunjian when he saw that he had the upper hand. He revealed his trump card openly and waited for Yunjian to beg for mercy. Brother Xiong thought that Yunjian would be frightened by his words or kneel down and beg for mercy like he did earlier. He could then do whatever he wanted to Yunjian and the rest. Yunjian did not. Yunjian remained with her arms crossed as she looked at Brother Xiong and the rest with interest. They were from the 9 Valleys gang. It piqued Yunjian's interest. The 9 Valleys gang was the second largest gang in Longmen City. When Dragon Head Gang, also known as Falcon Hall, was still in Su Zetian's hands, the 9 Valleys gang's influence had almost surpassed Dragon Head Gang. Since Yunjian took over Dragon Head Gang and changed its name to Falcon Hall had become the biggest gang in Ja province. What was the 9 Valleys gang? They might have some status in Longmen City, but to Yunjian's Falcon Hall, they were nothing more than a speck of dust that could not be bothered to clean up. It was only when Brother Xiong mentioned the 9 Valleys gang today that Yunjian suddenly realized that there was a gang called the 9 Valleys gang in Longmen City. Seeing that Yun Jian did not speak, Brother Xiong paused and added, why aren't you afraid? Why should I be afraid? Yun Jian simply walked in through the door of the private room. She randomly picked a leather sofa and sat down. Then, she propped her chin up with her elbow and sneered at Brother Xiong. Seeing that Yun Jian was so lazy as if she was at home, Brother Bear was very unhappy. However, just looking at Yun Jian's delicate face made Brother Bear's heart itch even more. Did you not hear it or did you not notice it? The people in the private rooms nearby are all brothers of the Nine Valleys gang. There are over 100 of them. You're a little girl, aren't you afraid? Besides, the Nine Valleys gang is Longmen City's second largest gang. Are you really not afraid? I don't believe it. Big Brother Bear purposely emphasized the name of the Nine Valleys gang. Normally, when a girl heard that he was from a gang, her face would turn pale with fright. But when Yun Jian heard about the Nine Valleys gang, she heard that Brother Xiong and the others were from the same gang. It was as if he hadn't heard anything. Nine Valleys gang. Yun Jian suddenly called out softly. Hearing Yun Jian mention the Nine Valleys gang, Brother Bear thought that Yun Jian must be afraid, so he lifted his head and said proudly. Haha. That's right. I'm from the Nine Valleys gang. I should say that all of our brothers here are from the Nine Valleys gang. So, are you scared now? If you are, take off your clothes obediently. Humph. If you serve us well today, I'll let you go. Otherwise. Just as Brother Bear said that, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and smirked. Nine Valleys gang, I almost forgot that there's a second gang in Longmen City, the Nine Valleys gang. I'd really like to know why you Nine Valleys gang members are here for a gathering at Falcon Hall's bar instead of your own bar. Falcon Hall's wine bar? Yun Jian's words stunned Brother Bear and the others. Could this young girl, Yun Jian, be from Falcon Hall? Chapter 1487. Yun Jian's words sent Brother Xiong and the rest into a frenzy. Before they could say anything, however, Yun Jian's voice rang again. Thanks for the reminder. There's still a Nine Valleys gang in Longmen City, but you won't live past tomorrow. A mountain could not accommodate 2 tigers. Yun Jian's vision had never been limited to Longmen City. Back when Chen Sini was kidnapped, Yun Jian had gone to the Nine Valleys gang's boss, Yuan Xuxiao. This was because Yuan Xuxiao's sister, Yuan Xiaoyu, was the one who knew about the incident back then, or perhaps she was the one who plotted it. Yun Jian did not pursue the matter, but it did not mean that she did not remember it. She simply did not expect a gang like the Nine Valleys gang to exist in Longmen City. It was not too late to think about it now though. What do you mean? Do you know what position the Nine Valleys gang has in Longmen City? We're the second largest gang in Longmen City. Do you believe that I'll kill both of you? Although Brother Xiong and the rest were taken aback by Yun Jian's Falcon Hall, they doubted the meaning behind Yun Jian's words. Could it be that Yun Jian was someone in Falcon Hall? Thinking about it, how could a young girl who looked around 16 years old join a gang like Falcon Hall? Brother Xiong and the rest did not intend to join the Nine Valleys gang. They had chosen to join the Nine Valleys gang because they could not join Falcon Hall. To Brother Xiong and the rest, Falcon Hall's members were strictly vetted. They were not allowed to steal, rob, do anything illegal, or collect protection fees. In short, those who joined Falcon Hall had to be honest and upright. They were not allowed to do anything illegal. This was not something a gang member should do. Thinking about it, even if Yun Jian was a member of Falcon Hall, she must be an insignificant person with no name or status. How could Falcon Hall implicate the Nine Valleys gang because of such a nobody? It was impossible to think about it with one's brain, so Brother Xiong was not afraid of Yun Jian at all. He even thought that Yun Jian was spouting nonsense. Could it be that she was afraid of them, so she decided to pretend to be from Falcon Hall so that she could scare them and take the opportunity to escape? The more Brother Bear thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. He rubbed his hands together and felt that instead of enjoying Wang Cancan, it was better to have Yun Jian. Just thinking about it made Brother Xiong feel that his lower body was already swollen. He rubbed his hands and walked over to Yunjian. Little beauty, just give in to me. It's not like you'll lose a piece of meat. As soon as he finished speaking, Yunjian's expression changed. She stood up and kicked Brother Xiong away. Then, she looked coldly at the crowd and said softly, "Tell Yuan Su Xiao to get in front of me." Is this how he has been teaching his gang members to run amok for the past half a year? Yuan Su Xiao was the boss of Longmen City's second mafia group, the Nine Valleys Gang. He was present when Yunjian killed Wolf Blade, who was ranked top 10 in the assassin ranking. Do you really know our boss? Brother Bear, who was sent flying by Yunjian's kick, only came to his senses after a long while. He clutched his chest at once and stared at Yunjian blankly, asking in fear. Brother Xiong's brothers around him were slightly stunned as well. It was obvious that if Yunjian really knew their boss, everyone present would be doomed. If Yunjian was a relative or friend of their gang's leader, it would be even more plausible. Brother Xiong was slightly scared. It was then that a steady silhouette came through the door with a group of people following behind him. Boss? The people in the room were shocked when they saw Yuan Su Xiao walking in from outside the room. Speak of the devil and he will appear. Boss. Here, there's a crazy young lady here who asked you to get in front of her. Once Brother Xiong heard that his boss was here, he scrambled over, thinking that he had to criticize Yunjian in front of Yuan Su Xiao as soon as possible. Hearing that someone wanted him to get in front of her, Yuan Su Xiao was slightly taken aback before he turned to look at Yunjian. Even after half a year, Yuan Su Xiao could still recognize the girl in front of him at first glance. Was she not the young lady who killed Wolf Blade, who ranked 10th on the assassin ranking all by herself? She was also. Chapter 1488. Yuan Su Xiao and the rest of them did not know that Ding Ding Bar was Falcon Hall's property. It was not a secret, of course. No one in the know had revealed it, so it was only natural that outsiders would not know about it. As the boss of Longmen City's second largest mafia group, the Nine Valleys Gang, Yuan Su Xiao did not inquire about who owned Ding Ding Bar. Ding Ding Bar's performance was astounding, monopolizing the nightclub business in Longmen City. Although there were outsiders who were interested in the person behind Ding Ding Bar and wanted to get to the bottom of the matter, no one could find out anything about the founder of Ding Ding Bar. Therefore, it was not surprising that Yuan Su Xiao wondered why Yunjian was here. Yunjian was Falcon Hall's boss after all. Why would she be here? Yuan Su Xiao's greeting of Falcon Hall's boss stunned Brother Xiong and the others. Falcon Hall's boss? Who? Could it be that the person who called her Falcon Hall's boss was this young girl who looked delicate and pretty with a hint of brashness? Brother Xiong and the rest turned to look at Yunjian. Her mouth opened and widened at a speed everyone could see clearly until she could not close it. Are you saying, SSSS, this girl is Falcon Hall's BB boss? Brother Xiong asked Yuan Su Xiao in shock as he gaped at Yunjian. Yunjian was Falcon Hall's boss? This girl who was not even 18 yet was Falcon Hall's boss? What kind of joke was this? Go away. What girl? Don't talk nonsense. This is Falcon Hall's boss, slaying Luo. Yuan Su Xiao slapped Brother Xiong away when he heard the question and went to Yunjian, like he was waiting for Yunjian's reply. Brother Xiong and the rest were so scared that their faces turned pale. They stood there in a daze. He had thought that Yunjian was just an ordinary girl and even had the thought of taking Yunjian as any other girl and forcefully possessing her. Who would have thought, Yunjian? Falcon Hall's boss, slaying Luo? This little girl was actually the boss of Falcon Hall. She really was from Falcon Hall. They had offended the boss of Falcon Hall. The faces of Brother Xiong and the others darkened as if they had just eaten dog shit. Everyone in the room was stunned. Everyone stared at Yunjian, who was standing in front of Yuan Su Xiao. Although she looked petite, her aura was so strong that no one could look at her directly. That was Longmen City's legend. That was Falcon Hall's boss, Rakshasa. That was a 16-year-old girl in the prime of her youth. Even Yuan Shuxiao had to lower his head slightly in front of Yun Jian. In terms of aura, Yuan Shuxiao had no choice but to submit. At this moment, there was only silence in the boisterous bar. Everyone was looking at Yun Jian in a daze. Even Yuan Shuxiao was no exception. What Yuan Shuxiao did not expect was that Yun Jian had already shown off her abilities when they first met. Half a year later, Yun Jian had already led Longmen City's top mafia group, Dragon Head Gang, which was now Falcon Hall, to become the top mafia group in Jia province. When Yuan Shuxiao asked Yun Jian earlier, Yun Jian had been standing in front of everyone without saying a word. The room was silent as no one dared to speak up. Yuan Shuxiao had been waiting for Yun Jian's reply. As time ticked by, it was so long that Yuan Shuxiao thought that Yun Jian would not reply to him. Chapter 1489. Ding Ding Bar, was a property under her? Did this mean that Ding Ding Bar was Falcon Hall's property? Everyone's faces darkened when they heard the news. Who did not know about Ding Ding Bar now? In Longmen City, Ding Ding Bar's performance was growing day by day. Other than Ding Ding Bar, the other bars in Longmen City were on the brink of bankruptcy. Only Ding Ding Bar's performance was still on the rise. Under such circumstances, countless people in Longmen City paid close attention to the person behind Ding Ding Bar. Everyone wanted to see who was running Ding Ding Bar to be able to crush the other bars in Longmen City and turn the tables when the other bars were on the brink of bankruptcy. Who would have thought that Ding Ding Bar was Yun Jian's? Ding Ding Bar was Falcon Hall's? Even Ding Ding Bar is Falcon Hall's property? Yuan Shuxiao was completely dumbfounded as well. He froze for a moment before asking Yun Jian. If it's not mine, then it's yours. Yun Jian smiled and pulled over a stool beside her to sit down. She crossed her right leg over her left leg and looked up at Yuan Shuxiao with a raised brow. No, that's not what I meant. Yuan Shuxiao was taken aback and was about to explain himself when he heard the call. Yun Jian, who was sitting on the stool in front of him, made a call and spoke to the person on the other end. Room 519, let's talk. Yuan Shuxiao didn't hear clearly what the person on the other end of the phone said, but he had a hunch that the person who came was definitely not a simple person. No one in the room dared to speak as Yuan Shuxiao waited for Yun Jian to speak. Yun Jian looked up at Yuan Shuxiao and said, "Your Nine Valleys gang has offended me. I'm very upset and want to wipe out your gang. What do you think?" Yun Jian said it casually, but Yuan Shuxiao broke out in a cold sweat when he heard it. Falcon Hall's boss, who offended you? I'll definitely find him and chase him out of the Nine Valleys gang. You. What Yuan Shuxiao was most afraid of had come. Falcon Hall was getting stronger now, which meant that his Nine Valleys gang was getting more dangerous. Yuan Shuxiao had been keeping a low profile for the past 6 months, afraid that he would go up against Yun Jian's Falcon Hall. In spite of it, what he was worried about had come without warning. Just as Yuan Shuxiao was about to admit his mistake and protect his Nine Valleys gang, Yun Jian cut him off. No need. I'll give you 2 choices. 1. Nine Valleys gangs. 2. Join Falcon Hall. She, Yun Jian, would never leave a tumor in Longmen City. Longmen was the headquarters after all. She would wipe out all the gangs in Longmen City without a doubt. You. Yuan Shuxiao's voicings, Yun Jian's, Yun's, Yun Jian's by Yun, Yun's. Yun Jian was halfway through her words when 2 silhouettes entered the room. Both of them were dressed in formal suits. They were in their 40s but looked like they were in their 20s or 30s. They were none other than Zhang Jifan and Su Zetian. Zhang Jifan and Su Zetian spent a lot of time together, drinking tea and sparring when they were free, or talking about the direction of Falcon Hall and new crews. They were living like gods. When they saw Zhang Jifan walk into the room, everyone in the private room was filled with respect for him. Zhang Jifan had represented New Cruise and attended many press conferences and automobile exhibitions. He was a prominent figure who was often exposed in the media and newspapers. Therefore, when they saw Zhang Jifan, everyone in the private room was filled with respect. It was because Zhang Jifan had started from scratch and achieved what he was today in less than a year. It could be said that Zhang Jifan was the goal of many young people. Sister Jian, we're here. While everyone looked at Zhang Jifan with slight admiration, Zhang Jifan suddenly went to Yun Jian and lowered his head slightly at Yun Jian in front of everyone, calling out softly. This shout frightened the people around him. Sister Jian? The CEO of New Cruise, Zhang Jifan, was calling Yun Jian sister? What did this mean? Someone who could make New Cruise's CEO call sister, could Yun Jian be? Chapter 1490. Yun Jian responded softly as if she was used to it. Her response made the surrounding people even more terrified. Rakshasa. Rakshasa. You. Don't tell me that New Cruise is yours as well? Yuan Shuxiao looked at Yun Jian in fear and asked the question that was on everyone's mind in front of everyone. Yuan Shuxiao's question attracted everyone's attention. Yuan Suzhao's question was exactly what everyone was thinking. Therefore, when Yuan Suzhao asked this question, the surrounding people all turned to look at him. At that moment, everyone in the room had their eyes on Yun Jian. Other people aside, Brother Xiong had been staring at Yun Jian since the beginning as if he wanted to bore a hole through Yun Jian with his stare. Other things aside, Yun Jian's impact on everyone was too shocking. Not only was she the boss of Falcon Hall and the founder of Ding Ding Bar, but she was also the boss of New Cruise. Just as Yuan Shuxiao finished his question, Yun Jian wiped her lips and nodded lightly. Yes, is there a problem? Was there a problem? There was a problem. There was a huge problem. Yuan Shuxiao almost screamed out loud. Yun Jian had killed Wolf Blade, who was ranked 10th on the assassin leaderboard. That was already shocking enough. This was buried deep in Yuan Shuxiao's heart and he dared not say it out loud. Now, Yun Jian was not only the boss of Falcon Hall and the founder of Ding Ding Bar. She was even New Cruise's director. Oh my God. Did she have to be so heaven-defying? She was only a 16-year-old girl. What was a 16-year-old doing? She was asking her parents for money, she was enjoying the throbbing heart of youth, she was in a relationship, and because she liked someone, she was doing everything she could to get to know him. What about Yun Jian? Yun Jian did not stand up from her seat. She tilted her head to look at Zhang Jifan and said, "Report the profits for the past 6 months." As she spoke, she rested her slender fingers on the side of her forehead and closed her eyes to listen to Zhang Jifan's report on his earnings. In the past 6 months, the headquarter company's net income is 100 million. Including the companies that joined, the net income is around 50 million. That's a total of 150 million. Since January, the net income has been increasing every month. It's about 5% every month. Zhang Jifan was not afraid to let the people in the room know about this. He reported to Yun Jian in front of everyone. Every time he spoke, the Nine Valleys gang brothers in the private room would be dumbfounded. This company's income for the past 6 months was 150 million and it was increasing by 5% every month compared to the previous month. How much money would it be after a few years of development? And that was net income. How much is Ding Ding Bar's income this month? Yun Jian asked Zhang Jifan with a hand on her forehead. This month's net income is 1 million. Su Zetian replied. Ding Ding Bar was not as profitable as New Cruise, but Ding Ding's net income was enough to scare a bunch of people to death. No wonder Falcon Hall did not allow their members to steal or rob commoners, nor did they allow them to collect protection fees. It was all because Yun Jian was rich. She did not need it at all. This teenage girl had a net worth of more than 100 million at such a young age. In this era, it was enough to scare people to death. Chapter 1491. This was the result that Yun Jian wanted. Hearing Yuan Shuxiao's words, she curled her red lips into a faint smile. Welcome. Yun Jian did not have the habit of shaking hands. Sitting in her seat, she glanced up at Yuan Shuxiao and greeted him with a smile. Yun Jian did not like fighting and killing. She liked to recruit a bunch of people to her side without expending a single soldier. The truth was that Yun Jian had indeed recruited Yuan Shuxiao and his gang without expending a single soldier. Since the Nine Valleys gang has joined Falcon Hall now, I'll have to get rid of some trash before I join. Yun Jian placed her hands on both sides of the chair's armrests and pushed herself up gently. That pair of sharp eyes suddenly glanced sideways and stared straight at Brother Xiong and the others. Realizing how he had treated Yun Jian earlier, Brother Xiong shook his head at Yun Jian, looking like he was begging Yun Jian not to remove them from the gang. That's them. Kick all of them out of the Nine Valleys gang. Yun Jian pointed at Brother Xiong and his gang as she uttered the words with a soft smirk. What? We. Brother Xiong looked like he wanted to say something, but Yun Jian had already turned to walk out of the door. Watching Yun Jian walk out of the door and go further away, Brother Xiong and his gang could only watch but could not stop her. At this moment, their fates had been decided. Since Brother Xiong and his gang had offended Yun Jian, the consequences would be unimaginably dire. After leaving the private room, Yun Jian returned to the VIP room to discuss new crews and Falcon Hall's direction with Zhang Jifan and Su Zetian before going home. She stayed at home for another day before heading back to Min City the next day. Ce returned to An Hun Group as well. Qing Yu was still in Longmen City, staying with Yun Yi. Qing Yu stayed in Longmen City with Gu Nianji. Si Luo was envious that Qing Yu and Gu Nianji could stay together. She wanted to stay and go to school with both of them. However, each time Si Luo mentioned it, Shuang would drag her away with a dark expression like he could not poop for 300 years. He did not even give her a chance to consider. Yun Jian's return to Min City's military academy had caused a stir before she even stepped through the school gates. She was not famous for her prowess but for going against the instructors. Her classmates who were at the food festival had seen Yun Jian going to snatch the helicopter, but they did not see it clearly when Yun Jian snatched the helicopter. Therefore, just as Yun Jian returned to school and before she even stepped through the school gate, students were already pointing at her and whispering. Look, that girl's the one who's going against the instructors last week. She's amazing. She ran in front alone, and even a bunch of instructors couldn't catch up with her. Damn, this woman is so awesome. That's right. She's more than amazing. She's amazing. She's going against the instructors. She's digging her own grave. A large group of students who passed by pointed and gossiped about Yun Jian. They had all seen how Yun Jian went to snatch the helicopter. However, as the field was far away from the food festival, the few students who saw Yun Jian snatching the helicopter were pulled away by the instructors to keep their mouths shut. Therefore, not many people knew about it. Yun Jian ignored the gossip and went straight back to the classroom. Just as she arrived, before Yun Jian could enter, Lin Wan pulled Yun Jian to an empty space in front of the classroom and whispered to Yun Jian. Chapter 1492. The students all thought that Yun Jian had offended the instructors. After all, she was just a student. She didn't listen to the instructors and insisted on rushing forward, causing a bunch of instructors to chase after her. If Yun Jian didn't offend the instructors by doing such a thing, then what was it? Therefore, under such circumstances, the students all thought that Yun Jian had caused the students in the class to be scolded. Moreover, Yun Jian was so outstanding during the military training and even won first place in the outdoor survival event. This result indeed made many people admire Yun Jian, but at the same time, there were also many people who hated Yun Jian. People's jealousy was scary. Those who admired Yun Jian would definitely show their admiration on their faces. However, those who were jealous of Yun Jian wouldn't show their jealousy on their faces. When something happened to Yun Jian, just like this time, when Yun Jian was chased by so many instructors, those who were jealous of Yunjian would say that Yunjian had offended the instructors and implicated all the students in the class. In this way, those who were jealous of Yunjian directly pulled those who admired Yunjian to their side. They planned to use some dead cockroaches, fake snakes, and other toys to scare Yunjian. Lin Wan, who knew about this, quickly ran over to inform Yunjian. She was afraid that Yunjian would really be scared, so when she saw Yunjian walk to the door of the classroom, she pulled Yunjian to the empty space here. Yunjian raised her eyebrows slightly. She raised her eyes and looked at Lin Wan. She smiled slightly and said, "Let's go back to the classroom." Yunjian, then you, be careful, you must be careful. Don't be scared. Lin Wan frowned and said to Yunjian. Lin Wan said that because she was concerned about Yunjian. She naturally wasn't scared. Yunjian nodded and then walked side by side with Lin Wan to the classroom. She's coming, she's coming. Yunjian is coming. She must be scared to death later. He. The students in the classroom had been paying attention to Yunjian for a long time. When they saw Yunjian and Lin Wan talking for a while and walking over, the students whispered to each other. Did they put the dead cockroaches and fake snakes on her seat? Yes, put them in her drawer. I guarantee that she will be scared to death later. Ha ha ha. Who asked her to offend the instructors and even want to implicate us? This is her end. Speaking of which, Yunjian's so good. What if she's not afraid of these things? I heard that Yunjian killed a huge wild boar on the first day of military training. Tisk. You're bluffing. I didn't see it. Besides, which girl isn't afraid of these things? Just wait and see. At this time, Yunjian entered the classroom. When the students in the class saw her, they immediately shut their mouths. The students in the class all thought that Yunjian didn't hear their whispers, but in fact, Yunjian heard them clearly. Lin Wan watched worriedly as Yunjian walked back to her seat. The surrounding students were full of anticipation as they watched Yunjian sit down and then open her drawer. The moment she opened the drawer, Yunjian saw 5 or 6 dead cockroaches and a fake snake in her drawer. As expected, the expected scream didn't come. Yunjian grabbed the fake snake from her drawer and then looked at it for a few seconds. The students saw her frown slightly and whispered, "The workmanship of this snake is so rough. They didn't even produce the characteristics of a snake. This manufacturing factory should be facing a crisis of closure." When she said this, the students present were all dumbfounded. The students were waiting for Yunjian to scream. Shouldn't a normal girl scream when she saw this? Chapter 1493. The surrounding students were dumbfounded. After all, there weren't many people like Yunjian. Others were worried about whether they were afraid or not, but what about her? She actually directly evaluated this fake snake and concluded that the factory of this fake snake should have closed down. Ha ha ha. You can tell whether the factory of this snake has closed down just by looking at the workmanship of this snake. Pfft. I'm dying of laughter. It's simply. Do you think you have the ability to prophesy? Do you think you're a god? Or do you think you're a prophet? I'm dying of laughter. You're really going to make me die of laughter. One of the boys in the class laughed out loud, and the laughter was extremely ear-piercing. This boy didn't like Yunjian very much because of Yunjian's strength. Yunjian's strength was really too strong, so strong that a boy couldn't compare to a girl. Most of the students in the class were male. Except for a few male students who worshipped Yunjian, most of the rest were quite disgusted with Yunjian. After all, Yunjian's strength was here. Even the male students couldn't compare to Yunjian, so as a boy, they would definitely have opinions. Most of the boys didn't like girls who were stronger than them, and the boys in the class were naturally the same. The boy who stood up to accuse Yunjian was having a good time. Just as he said that, another meek voice of a man rang out, "Young man, you're right. Cough cough. This fake snake was my childhood toy. That manufacturing factory has really closed down because this fake snake was manufactured by my uncle's factory. Now, the factory has been closed for more than 5 years. It was the boy who came to the classroom with the fake snake. The boy was very unwilling to admit this fact, but he couldn't. The truth was that he wasn't good at lying. As soon as these words came out, the face of the boy who just ridiculed Yunjian instantly turned pale. It was as if he suddenly had constipation while squatting in the toilet. As soon as the boy who stood up and said that the factory had closed down finished speaking, Yunjian threw the fake snake at the boy's face. The boy was suddenly embarrassed by his fake snake. His whole body trembled fiercely. Obviously, the moment he received the snake, even he didn't realize that this snake was his. It was fake and not real. Don't do such a childish thing in the future. You're targeting me this time. If you target an ordinary girl and she is scared to death by you, can you bear the consequences? Yunjian looked down on such people the most. She sneered. There was once a news report that, as a joke, she used a toy like a fake snake to scare her classmates, and as a result, she was scared to death. Tisk, it's obvious. Pretending. Shameless. Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yunjian and was knocked out during the military training last time, had no idea what happened last time when the instructors put her fake corpse on an isolated island to scare the other students. She glanced at Yunjian coldly, at odds with her as usual. By the way, I don't know if you know, but Officer Gu, who was said to be in trouble last time, was rescued from the dungeon of the world-famous underground black market boss, Glenn's headquarters. I heard that no one has been able to come out of that dungeon alive since it was created. Hee, this time, someone brought someone out of the dungeon. I heard that it's a woman. She's so powerful. Some boys immediately changed the topic and began to whisper in an excited tone. At this point, everyone suddenly remembered that Yunjian must have forced Instructor Yu to take her to save Officer Gu that day. After all, Officer Gu was Yunjian's father. Therefore, after a while, their gazes immediately shifted to Yunjian. Yunjian, you should have also gone to that, the territory of the European and American underground black market boss, Glenn, right? You should know about the dungeon of Glenn's headquarters. As long as someone is caught, there is a rumor that they never come out again. Hey, then do you know who the first legendary woman to bring people out of the dungeon is? Someone suddenly realized that Yunjian might know this, so he opened his mouth and asked Yunjian. You're still asking her? It's just that last time, she provoked the instructor and had to go along to cause trouble. People like her are doing it on purpose. Causing trouble for no reason. You're still asking her, can she know about this? Immediately, there were voices of protest. However, everyone around still turned their expectant gazes to Yunjian. At that time, everyone was very interested in this matter. The dungeon had been built for decades. In these decades, there were many powerful people who went in, but no one had ever been able to successfully escape. There were even rumors that in a place like the dungeon, no one in this world had the ability to escape from there. But now, the person who brought people out of the dungeon had appeared. The students in the class were all very gossipy and wanted to know, so they all turned their heads to look at Yunjian. Chapter 1494. She was the one who led people out of the dungeon? The eyes of the students in the class suddenly turned to Yunjian. For a moment, everyone present turned to look at her. Huh? You were the one who led people out of the dungeon? Are you for real? You're not scaring me, are you? A student in the class immediately shouted, vividly displaying the astonishment after the initial shock. Yunjian's red arc hooked, and she didn't say anything else. Just when the students thought that Yunjian wouldn't speak again, they heard her voice ring out again. There are 2 password locks in the dungeon, both of which are made with the most cutting-edge high-tech products. If it wasn't me, who else could have cracked these 2 password locks? Yunjian's words were quite arrogant. The surrounding students were stunned once again. After recovering from the shock, the surrounding students were once again in an uproar. Some of the students even turned to look at Yunjian, and said doubtfully, are you for real? Why do you say it as if it's true? Have you really been in the dungeon? Hey, tell us about the structure of the dungeon. Such words came in an endless stream. But Yun Jian didn't open her mouth to explain. Haha. She's showing off again. She, Yun Jian, has really shown off too much. She's really shameless. Does she really think that she has 3 heads and 6 arms? Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yun Jian, began to point and scold her again. But just as she finished speaking, Yun Jian's voice rang out again. I just want to tell you that studying in a military academy means that you are very likely to become one of the following 2 types of people in the future. First, a soldier. Second, a special forces soldier. No matter which type of person you become, if there is a need for you to become a spy in the future, you must remember one thing. You must be all round. At this point, Yun Jian paused, and then continued, unlocking secrets, blending in with the crowd, firearms and weapons, medical treatment, assassination secrets. You must learn everything, and be skilled at it. If you can't do it, then I advise you not to act as a spy easily in the future, because the death rate of you being captured alive is as high as 98%. Yun Jian's meaning was very simple. She simply hoped that this group of people would learn to be smarter in the future. Ge Junjian and the others didn't realize this, so they acted rashly and sneaked into Glen's headquarters as a spy. In the end, they were caught. If she hadn't been there this time, or if she hadn't gone to save people in time, Ge Junjian and the rest of the people who were captured would definitely die. Moreover, he definitely wouldn't be able to hold on for more than 3 days. Among that group, Lin Wei was the strongest, but when Yun Jian entered the dungeon, Lin Wei was already on the verge of death. It could be seen that in less than 3 days, Lin Wei would be completely defeated, and Ge Junjian and the rest would definitely die. That was why Yun Jian said those words. Yun Jian's words attracted countless voices of resistance, but there was no lack of voices from those who admired Yun Jian. A chubby boy looked at Yun Jian, and then asked with interest, Yun Jian, how do you know so clearly? Is this true? I've been fantasizing about being a spy in the future. Hee hee. Being a spy is so cool. Hee hee hee. You're just talking big. Yun Jian, do you really think that you've been a spy? What right do you have to use such big words to educate us? You're really shameless. Lin Shuya spoke out of turn again. Actually, Yun Jian's words were only for the people who were listening to her sincerely. To be honest, even if these classmates died in front of her, she wouldn't care. She's the most outstanding person. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have been able to escape from the dungeon. At this moment, Instructor Yu's firm voice suddenly came from outside the classroom. Instructor Yu's words meant. Yun Jian was the one who brought everyone out of the dungeon. Chapter 1495. Yu Shaoluo's words attracted everyone's attention. If Yun Jian's words were not convincing enough, then in the military academy, the instructor's words were absolutely persuasive. Therefore, as soon as Yu Shaoluo's voice fell, the students in the class were in an uproar. Even if Yun Jian was not the legendary figure who had led her men out of the dungeon, she was probably not too far off from it. As for whether this was the case, looking at Instructor Yu, he would not say it clearly. Her classmates did not think that Yun Jian's words could be trusted. However, there were still students who were quite interested in this matter. Instructor Yu, are you telling the truth? Didn't the whole school stir up last time? They said that Yun Jian provoked the instructors and wanted to implicate the students in our class. Instructor Yu was a relatively easygoing instructor. Usually, when the students asked him some more explicit questions, Instructor Yu would not scold the students. Therefore, when the students saw Instructor Yu, they would ask what they wanted to ask. At this moment, a tall and thin boy opened his mouth and asked Yu Shaoluo. What do you mean? What do you mean by provoke the instructors? Pfft. The students in your class. That's why your imagination is so rich, huh? Really? I don't know what to say about you guys. Hearing the students around him say that Yun Jian provoked the instructors, Yu Xiaoluo almost laughed until his saliva was spat out. Yun Jian provoked the instructors? Where did this group of students hear this joke from? Yu Xiaoluo forced a smile and finally stopped himself from laughing out loud. He put his hand to his mouth and coughed twice, then said, Yun Jian has made a great contribution this time. I came to your classroom to find her now to ask her to receive the award. Yu Xiaoluo said word by word. When these words just came out, the students in the class were all in a state of shock. What? Receive the award? What award? Yun Jian didn't provoke the instructors last time, but made a great contribution? In fact, the students in the class didn't know. If they knew that Yun Jian not only made a great contribution, but also helped the Interpol team to capture the arrogant Glenn who couldn't be arrested in these years, countless agents lost their lives here. She also saved Gu Junjian and a large group of agents who were locked in the dungeon and failed to infiltrate the territory of the European and American underground black market boss, who belonged to the country. This contribution was not just one aspect, it could be considered as a comprehensive contribution. Yun Jian's contribution could not be highlighted by the award alone. Yun Jian, come with me to receive the award. Yu Xiaoluo turned as he spoke and turned his eyes to Yun Jian. Yun Jian stood up from her seat and went to Yu Xiaoluo. Under the envious gazes of the class students in the class, Yun and Yu disappeared from the class. After Yu Xiaoluo, the students in the class were once again. She's really amazing. I'm so impressed. She's a girl but she can actually do this. Even those who were full of opinions about Yun Jian couldn't help but admire her now. At the same time, Yun Jian was brought to the office by Yu Xiaoluo. The people sitting in the office were usually teachers of Chinese, mathematics, English, and other major subjects. Usually, the instructors and coaches had their own offices, unlike the teachers of these major subjects. At this moment, not only were there teachers of Chinese, mathematics, and English major subjects standing in the office, there were also leaders in military uniforms. Yu Xiaoluo led Yun Jian into the office and pointed at a middle-aged man who looked like a leader in formal attire not far away. He's the principal of Min's City Military Academy, Principal Ma. After Yu Xiaoluo introduced Principal Ma to Yun Jian, he introduced Yun Jian again. Principal Ma narrowed his eyes and smiled at Yun Jian. He walked over and extended his hand to Yun Jian. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect the younger generation of Min's City Military Academy to be so outstanding. Young lady, let's shake hands. Come. Principal Ma smiled at Yun Jian as he spoke. Yun Jian nodded and returned a faint smile. Then, she said indifferently, sorry, I'm not used to shaking hands with people. Who was Principal Ma? He was the principal of Min's City Military Academy. When normal people saw Principal Ma, which one of them wouldn't pounce on him to befriend him? However, this time, Principal Ma personally extended his hand to Yun Jian to express his goodwill. Chapter 1496. Ahem. Huh, it's fine, it's fine. You're a good girl. Principal Ma smiled awkwardly. He used his youthful face to stare at Yun Jian with admiration for Yun Jian. Principal Ma was a very humorous principal. Although he was the principal of Min's City's military academy, he didn't spend much time at the academy. Not only was Principal Ma a principal, he was also a soldier. Yun Jian didn't shake Principal Ma's hand, but it didn't mean that she didn't want to be on good terms with him. Everyone had their own way of befriending people. Yun Jian wasn't used to shaking hands, especially with men. It was that simple, so she rejected him. Principal Ma was a smart person. After hearing Yun Jian's words, he didn't feel awkward. Instead, he smiled at Yun Jian and remained silent for a while before speaking. It's all thanks to you this time. If it wasn't for you. Principal Ma wanted to say more to thank Yun Jian, but Yun Jian interrupted him. I was only trying to save my dad, so you don't have to thank me. Yun Jian didn't mean anything else. She was indeed trying to save Gu Junjian. Ahem, haha. I know that. You've done a great job too. It was the first time Principal Ma spoke so kindly to a student. Even though Yunjian's words weren't very nice, and even though Yunjian didn't mean anything bad, Principal Ma still spoke to Yunjian in a friendly manner. The teachers in the office felt that this scene was a little inconceivable. There were also instructors standing around, but most of them were listening to Principal Ma and Yunjian's conversation. Ahem. Oh right, Yunjian, Principal Ma asked you to come here because he has something important to tell you. This. Why don't we go somewhere else to talk? Yu Xiaoluo said when the atmosphere was slightly awkward. Let's talk outside. Yunjian naturally knew that some things weren't convenient to say in front of everyone. Moreover, there were other teachers in the office. Thus, she nodded and replied. Yunjian, Principal Ma, and Yu Xiaoluo walked out of the office. In a garden somewhere in the school. Yunjian, Principal Ma, and Yu Xiaoluo stood in one of the aisles in the flower bed. There weren't many people here, and students usually didn't come here to play after class. The flower bed was closer to the teacher's dormitory, so some teachers would take a shortcut to the flower bed in order to get there early. What is it? Just say it. Standing in front of Principal Ma and Yu Xiaoluo, Yunjian looked up at them and spoke softly. Logically speaking, a student standing in front of the principal and instructor should be so afraid that he would lower his head and not dare to look at the principal and instructor. Why was it that when it came to Yunjian, it seemed that Principal Ma and Yu Xiaoluo were the students, while she was the principal, Yunjian? Ahem, you explain. Principal Ma asked Yu Xiaoluo to explain for him. Okay. It's like this. Principal Ma heard about your performance at that time and combined with your amazing performance so far, so he agreed to let you participate in the selection of Z country's special forces to go to the hunting school this year. I'm sure you already know what kind of place the hunting school is. The death rate there is so high, so we definitely won't send people there easily. Before we send our special forces candidates to the hunting school, there will be a selection. There are about 2 classes and about 100 special forces soldiers participating in the selection. If they win and become the top 3 in the end, they can represent our country and officially go to the hunting school. Originally, you have to enter the elite class before you can be observed to see if you have the qualifications to participate in the selection. However, Principal Ma saw how outstanding you are, so he decided to make an exception and let you participate in the selection this year. Chapter 1497. Yu Xiaoluo's words were simple to understand. What he meant was that Principal Ma thought that Yunjian was quite capable. This time, she had even rescued everyone from the dungeon and had even assisted the Interpol in arresting Glenn. All these actions showed that her performance during the military training, as well as various physical fitness standards, was enough to qualify her to participate in the selection to go to the hunting school. Therefore, Principal Ma recommended Yunjian to go. Originally, as a student, Yunjian did not have the right to go to such a selection event. After all, everyone knew what kind of place the hunting school was. Of course, Yunjian was not an ordinary person. Principal Ma also analyzed this point, so he decided to recommend Yunjian to go to the selection. However, it did not mean that Yunjian could go to the hunting school directly just because she was recognized by Principal Ma. Under the situation where the special forces represented Z country to go to the hunting school for training, they had to choose who to go to the hunting school. Although the hunting school was scary, it was also a place that countless special forces dreamed of going to. Therefore, Principal Ma meant that he would do his best to send Yunjian to the selection field. As for what would happen next, it would depend on Yunjian's own ability. The selection competition at the selection field should be extremely strict, especially during the selection period. There will be a month-long training. Within a month, more than 100 special forces will be eliminated. On the last day, only the top 3 will be left. These 3 will represent C country to go to the hunting school. So, Yunjian, are you going to participate? After explaining the general rules, Yu Xiaoluo turned to ask Yunjian. Yu Xiaoluo had always remembered that Yunjian had said that she wanted to go to the hunting school. Now that there was a chance, he helped Yunjian save the spot. Yes, Yun Jian nodded. Needless to say, Yun Jian would definitely choose to participate in such an opportunity. The hunting school was a place that the special forces yearned for, but to Yun Jian, it was just a platform for her to train her skills and engage in actual combat. She could bring her strength back to the peak of her previous life, nothing more. Alright, 1 month later, the military academy will apply for leave for you and send you to the selection grounds. You just need to be prepared. You don't have to bring too many things, everything will be prepared for you over there. After Yu Xiaoluo got Yun Jian's affirmative answer, he told Yun Jian about his plan. Yes. Yun Jian nodded gently. Alright, you can go back now. The selection will be held in a month's time. I have already contacted old Gu about the other matters. I believe he will help you settle them, Yu Xiaoluo said. By the time Yun Jian returned to the classroom, the first class had already ended. The students in the class all stood up from their seats, and some of them wandered in the corridor. The classroom was brightly lit at night, so no one noticed that Yun Jian had returned to her seat. Yun Jian, come here, come here. Lin Wan waved at Yun Jian. Yun Jian saw Lin Wan waving at her, so she walked over. Why didn't Muing come to school tonight? Lin Wan frowned and asked Yun Jian. Maybe something happened at home. Yun Jian nodded. Actually, it was because Mad Dragon was about to return to Kosha mercenaries, so Muing didn't come. Oh. Lin Wan nodded as she realized what was going on. Then Lin Wan moved closer to Yun Jian, winked at Yun Jian, and said, Yun Jian, do you want to go to a concert with us this Saturday? It's just me and a few girls from other classes that I just met. They invited me, so I wanted to ask you and Muing to go together. I'm not going. Yun Jian rejected with 2 words. Yun Jian, just go, it's just a few girls from other classes in our school, there's no one else, just come with us. Lin Wan heard that Yun Jian didn't want to go, so she reached out and shook Yun Jian's hand. I'm not interested. Yun Jian nodded. Just as she finished speaking, Yun Jian's gaze fell on the concert invitation on Lin Wan's desk. When she saw the portrait on the concert invitation, Yun Jian pointed at it lightly and asked, why are you here? Whose concert? Her, it's her. Lin Wan replied with a confused expression, you're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.